Right, shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. No, that was rubbish. Hey, do you know on Apple TV you can watch Carpool Karaoke? It's its own TV show.
Ah, yeah.
And there were 5 seasons of it.
That many?
Yeah, and it goes back to
2018
they started making it. I'd never heard of it.
Oh, wow.
And James Corden produces it, but he's not in it.
No, because it started on his show.
Yeah, it did.
And then he just had his own, his own thing.
Yeah.
A bit like the lip sync battle. I think it started on Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
There's only a few that Limp
Bizkit.
Lip sync battles that are worth watching, I think.
Yeah, I think that's true of
Anne Hathaway's and Emily Blunt. That was pretty cool.
There's a White Lotus Carpool Karaoke.
Oh, there's a Stranger Things Carpool Karaoke.
Yeah, but I haven't watched any of it because I assume that if I watch it, James Corden gets a little bit of money, and I refuse to.
Oh, I don't know. Like, I've had enough of these people hating on him. I feel really bad for him. Like everything that he does
he's
flops.
The worst. No,
he's
it
not
doesn't.
the worst.
He's earning huge buckets of cash. Don't feel bad for James Corden.
No, but I feel bad for the hate. Like I think you could be as really rich, but I feel that if you have so much hate towards you, it's just not nice, is it?
Yeah, but he does things that encourages people to hate him.
What does he do?
That thing where he dressed up as a mouse and danced in front of a car to promote Cinderella. Have you seen that?
Well, who cares?
Me, I care. It's awful. He's awful. Awful, man.
I think awful man is like Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, he's awful.
Or like the guy that has that's an awful man.
Yeah,
James Corden is just a man who does.
He's an awful entertainer.
Is he a bad actor?
He's an annoying actor. And yeah, he's a bad actor. And he did you know what, let's not bother.
What did he do?
Oh, he did a thing at the Oscars once that was like really harsh on special effects artists who are very overworked and underpaid, and they're the people that should be, respected. And he kind of mocked them, which Taika Waititi did recently as well. Shame on him. I'm getting more and more unimpressed with Taika Waititi.
I used to really like him, and then something happened. I think he got really famous, and I can't watch his interviews anymore because he's got this like open shirt, like this tattoo, and everything he says is just annoying.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, maybe it's just me. And then you said that Thor: Love and Thunder is not good, and that kind of made me wonder if his genius has gone because he's become so popular, and he's like, he's got girls around, and I don't know.
Well, he's gone mad. I think he's gone absolutely mad with the fame that he's acquired.
Yeah.
Which is, who knows? He's making a Star Wars movie, which I guess we'll be talking about Star Wars soon, because I saw on Letterboxd that you...
Yeah. I done my homework.
I haven't actually introduced... Let's start properly now.
Okay, yeah.
Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. It's called Culture Bucket. Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. Culture Bucket, Georgia and Alex.
Okay, hello everyone and welcome to episode 79 of Culture Bucket. This is the podcast where two best friends, George and Alex, talk about pop culture that they've been absorbing and watching with a specific focus in each episode. This week, it's Stranger Things Volume 4. We're doing a big deep dive review, discussion, talk about that show to follow up on our rewind episode of Volumes 1, 2 and 3 last week. We will also have our usual Culture Catch-Up and MyTube with some quite good trailers to watch this week, so hopefully that'll be some good discussion as well. And I'm your host, George. As already mentioned, with me is Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hi, George. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
How are you doing today, George?
I've had better weeks.
Yes. If you can hear, George has got a bit of a...
Well, the sore throat I had when we last recorded turned out to be COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, my second full dose of COVID. Probably in ordinary circumstances would have been not as bad as my first dose of COVID, but it happened, the height of my infection happened to coincide with the hottest day ever recorded in England, so it was pretty unbearable. It was one of the worst days I've ever had. Ever. Last Tuesday was
I'm sorry.
Heart of Darkness, Martin Sheen floating down a river in Vietnam on a raft kind of day. It was awful. Now that opening to Apocalypse Now where he's on that bed and the fans going and stuff.
Yeah.
That was me. That was me for a full day.
Oh my god. So did you have all the fans?
I took a fan from work because I don't have enough fans. I had 2 fans. Yeah. I was just on top of my bed wearing nothing and sweating. Oh, it was awful. It was so hot and I just kept eating Calippos.
Yeah, your Calippos, they were useful.
Yeah, and I kept getting I've got all these various cups that I've shown off over the various episodes that are like thermal cups that's pouring squash and Vimto and stuff and putting 5 ice cubes in and putting the lid on, and it's meant to seal in the thing. Ice cube melts before you even put the lid on it. It was so hot. It was awful. Yeah. Truly awful.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I played a lot of Power Wash Simulator.
So yeah. How was that?
I have cleaned a golf cart, a racing car, a fire engine, an entire fire station, a big shoe, and something else. Can't remember. Loads of stuff.
Do the things get bigger and dirtier the more the levels go?
Yeah, and you can buy more powerful power washers to deal with more stuck on oil-based dirt and things.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And then so the fire station was the biggest one so far. That was a full fire station, and when they train, they have that tower. That was really dirty.
That's so basic. But do you have to buy with money, or do you earn points and then you buy it with points?
Well, you buy it with money, but it's just points with a $ sign on the front. You're not spending actual money.
Yeah, no, I mean actual money.
No, not actual money. You do the job and you get paid for everything you clean, and then you can with the money you earn, but it's digital, it's fake money in the game, but then you can buy upgrades and things.
Nice.
Yeah, and every time you finish a level, it shows you this time-lapse shot of the thing being cleaned. It's really satisfying to watch. It's good. How was your week?
Fantastic. It's hot here.
Yeah.
Very hot. I'm a bit sad because about a week ago, I heard this screeching noise outside our house. We live in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, oh, somebody is getting my chicken. I've got chickens, listeners. I've got 4 chickens. And I go outside and I find a little, parrot. And so I catch it and I keep it for a couple of days and I go around the village asking people if they lost a parrot. Nobody's lost a parrot. And so I get this parrot and I buy a cage. And then find out it's not a parrot, it's a lovebird. And lovebirds need company.
Yes.
And so because it needed company, and I thought maybe it needed, to be entertained, and I felt sorry for this lovebird in this cage. I bought the lovebird loads of toys the other day, 2 days ago. And then yesterday I was cleaning the lovebird's cage and I didn't close the cage properly. And it flew away.
Okay.
And it just went around the house all day, just screeching. But now it's disappeared.
Right.
So I had a lovebird for a week. and I spent loads of money on it. I'm a bit sad.
Right.
So I'm not sure if I'm sad because the lovebird has gone, or is because.
What were you going to do about its need for companionship?
That's why I bought her loads of toys.
Yeah, but that's not the same as a toy. Isn't a replacement for a real.
I guess not, but I don't know how this lovebird arrived here, and so I thought, well, it must have escaped or somebody abandoned it, but now it's not around anymore.
Well, on the nature reserve near where I live, there's like a family of macaws that live there because I think once upon a time they escaped from somebody's house as pets, and now they just live in nature.
Well, here we have lots of predatory birds.
Yeah,
and it's like 35 degrees, so I think it's dead.
Well, that's.
So I'm a bit sad. Your face when I was telling the story, you were like, what is going on? But
I'm sorry that
I had a lovebird for a week.
Your Snow White fantasy didn't live up to the dream.
Snow White fantasy?
It sounds like you're trying to be Snow White when she's got all the animals dancing around her and helping her clean the house and stuff.
I asked people around the village if they lost a freaking bird. So I was going around. We don't know anyone in the village. So it was like, they were outside in the garden. I was like, have you lost a bird? Nobody lost a bird. But now we lost a bird. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I should go around the village saying, have you found a bird? But that would be like, they'll probably think we're mental.
Yeah, because most people would just see it and be like, oh, look, a bird.
What? It was a parrot. They're not native to the north of Italy, parrots.
Yeah.
So you go, it must be somebody's pet.
Or it's like on our nature reserve and it just is.
It wasn't really flying. Like, it can't really fly very well.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah, but it flies well enough to disappear. So now we've got this cage full of toys.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now you've done the work. You could go and get a pet.
Never. I don't like, but I like chickens. Chickens are fantastic because they stay outside. Uh-huh. In fact, every day I was looking at this bird in this cage. I was like, why are you in a cage? Why do people keep birds in cages?
Okay. So, right.
No, I'm quite happy they flew off, but I wish she or it or they had flown away like a few days before. I spent quite a bit of money on toys.
Yes.
That annoys me.
Yeah.
But also I'm sad that, she was quite cute, or it was. I don't know what it was.
Bird.
But we thought it was a girl and we named her Yuzu.
Oh, like the Japanese citrus.
Yeah.
Fruit. Cool. Nice. Good name.
Yeah. So that's my story.
Good.
And I'm melting because it's so hot.
Yeah. Would you like to tell me what you've been watching and listening to, etc. this week?
Yes, of course.
This is Culture Catch-Up time. This is where we talk about what we've watched, what we've read, what we've listened to, and probably some other stuff. Culture Catch-Up time.
Good.
Okay. So a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about people getting angry for movies that they haven't watched. And I said about Persuasion. So I watched Persuasion.
Oh, yes.
The Netflix film Persuasion.
With Dakota Johnson. And the guy, he's really... Henry Golding.
Who?
Henry Golding? I think he plays the...
yeah, Henry Golding, yes.
I like him.
Richard as Mr. Elliot, Richard E. Grant as Sir Walter Elliot.
Was Richard E. Grant in Emma, or was somebody else in Emma? Who played the dad in Emma? The one with Anya Taylor-Joy.
Let me check.
It's either Richard E. Grant or a Richard E. Grant type.
What can I know? Bill Nye.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's
a
Richard E. Grant type. That's reasonable. Okay.
Yeah, and a very big cast. There's Ben Bailey Smith as Charles Musgrove.
Sure.
And then who else do I know in the cast? That's other people. But the main people are Dakota Johnson, And somebody's missing. Sorry. Who is the love interest called?
Isn't that Henry Golding?
No, well, Henry Golding is the love interest after the love interest.
I see.
Because Persuasion is about Anne Elliot being in love with a guy, but then him not being well off enough for her family to approve of him.
The classic tale.
Yeah, and he goes off to sail because he's a seaman. And she's still in love with him.
Yeah.
And but when he comes back, there are complications, whatever. And then the second love interest is Mr. Elliot with his Henry Golding.
Right.
But I can't remember. Let me just check a second.
Okay.
What's his name? Cosmo Jarvis. He's Cosmo Jarvis.
It's a caprese salad.
Oh my god. He plays Captain Frederick Wentworth.
I like
so like I said before, is kind of it's based on a Jane Austen book. Yeah. And
my understanding of this movie is that it's what if Jane Austen, but also Fleabag. Is that accurate at all?
Not really.
Okay.
That's
what the trailer makes it look like.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, yeah, you could say Fleabag. It's when you break the fourth wall, then, now it's Fleabag. It used to be Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like,
it's more than just breaking the fourth wall. It's like a sort of a woman's love life, and then she's sort of looking to the camera and going,
Yeah, I guess so. If you wanna give it that label, yeah, it could be like Jane Austen meets Fleabag, and so it's a love story. It's a Jane Austen love story. It's all about family and wealth and how idiotic things were in that period of time that you had to marry well, you had to marry for money, all about marriage being transactional more than love, and etc. And then in the end, it ends quite well, where Anne and Frederick do end up together. And I personally really enjoyed this film. I thought it was fun. It was a good take on Persuasion. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too accurate. It wasn't like extremely accurate, but it told the story. It told it in a nice way. The cast is very diverse, which is really interesting, which I quite like, because if you want to take Persuasion kind of in a different in a more actual era now, I think is really good. Dakota Johnson is amazing. The more I see her, the more I think she's a really great actress, and it worked really well. Like the chemistry between Cosmo Jarvis and Dakota Johnson is really nice. Henry Golding is always beautiful, and I really liked it. I don't know why people are really negative about it. I guess it's just a little bit. Anne Elliot is just a little bit too is a bit too strong, and it doesn't follow the book by the letter. But if it did, it would have to be a series, like a 6-part series of an hour probably. And I think this is a nice little short film about it, so I enjoyed it. I don't know what people are. I was trying to read bad reviews about it, but they just felt stupid.
Fair enough.
And I love Jane Austen, and I feel like as a person that likes Jane Austen, I thought this was absolutely fine and very enjoyable to watch. And I like Dakota Johnson, and I'm sad that it got bad reviews because of her.
Oh, it got bad reviews because of Dakota Johnson?
No. I'm sad because they got bad reviews because I like her so much and I think she's great and I want her to do the really well. That's why, you know.
Fair enough.
But I think, I don't know, I've got a feeling sometimes that if you come from a background, or maybe I'm just speculating, but I feel like if you come from a background where your first few films were a certain way, like 60 Shades of Grey, how many? 50?
50, there were 50 Shades of Grey.
50. Like 50 Shades of Grey, I think you're scrutinized even more.
Yeah.
And any mess up, I think, is they go for it. And I just don't want... I want her to just thrive because I think she's
done
so
quite
good.
a lot since it, though. I think she's moved on successfully from it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want her to be always successful.
I really I think she's been great in stuff I've watched. I'm not going to watch this because I'm not a Jane Austen fan, but
no,
I thought the trailer looked perfectly fun.
That's the thing that I don't understand the bad reviews. It's a fun film.
I think a lot of people, from what I read, it's Jane Austen's last novel and most mature or something, and this seemed a bit too frivolous and light-hearted for what Jane Austen aficionados wanted. Was what I read from the stuff I looked at. Yeah.
God, people are so crazy.
Yeah, they are.
I think
Jamie Dornan as well has moved on pretty well from 50 Shades. I think they've both done fairly well to escape the
amazing.
As has Pattinson and Stewart from Twilight. They've not fallen prey to the Mark Hamill curse of struggling to move on from an iconic role kind of thing.
Yeah,
good for them.
Yeah. Good for them. And then I watched a 2016 film called Collosal.
Oh, with Anne Hathaway.
With Anne Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis, Tim Blake Nelson is in it, which is always nice to see him.
Tim Blake Nelson.
What did I say?
I just sounded like you said Timberlake Nelson, like the...
Timberlake Nelson.
And Timberlake Nelson mashed with that record producer.
Yeah. And this, I thought it was so weird. I watched it because I just never... I hadn't heard of it.
What's it about?
It's about Gloria, who is, I think she's a writer, but she spends most of her, I think she's been fired, and she spends most of her time kind of partying.
Perfect.
And her horrible boyfriend packs her bags and tells her to leave the flat. So she's clearly struggling, and he just says to go away, and she goes back to her childhood home where she meets her childhood friend and they get along really well, but then at the same time there is a monster appearing in Seoul, and she finds out that she has got she is kind of the monster in Seoul, and her childhood friend turns out to be not who she thought he was, and it's just this story about this woman that if she goes to a certain place, she then appears as a monster in Seoul.
Could the monster be a metaphor of some description?
Could the monster be a metaphor of some description?
Perhaps for trauma or addiction?
Trauma or addiction? Well, you tell me.
Well, I haven't seen the movie, Alex, so but that's just what it sounds like. It sounds like a film where maybe there's a metaphor at play.
I did not. I found this film very strange. I did not get what the point was of this film. Like, it's okay. I enjoy watching Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis. I had a fun, enjoyable time watching them, but I did not understand what this film was about, really.
I guess she's being self-destructive, and then that self-destruction is manifested physically in the world through a kaiju. Was my understanding of the film. But the reviews of it were largely like you saying, like, that's the idea, but it doesn't do anything with it. And the reviews are fairly mixed, so I never watched it.
Like, it could have been so good because you've got you've got the idea is good. It's just it wasn't delivered. I don't think because I did not get what I did not get what you just said, and now I'm thinking, oh, that's a great idea.
Because isn't it that when she gets really hammered and smashed, that's when the...
Well, no, she has to go to a specific place.
Oh, right.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing. I think now talking to you about it, if she got smashed and then every time she got smashed, that happened.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense. But no, it's a specific place in a specific time. And I just didn't make any sense. It was really weird. And then the reasoning, and then they had to explain why this happened, and that was silly. So
it's the kind of movie where some things don't need to be explained, right? Like
exactly. And if they made it really simple, that she went back to her childhood home and this happened, I guess they couldn't really make it happen every time she was drunk, because then this monster would have destroyed the entire of Seoul.
Yeah, but maybe that's the,
Yeah, I don't know. So the idea is great. It just didn't make... It wasn't delivered very well. And I think it could have been done because it's a really good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really good. And there's not just her as a monster. There's another one that at one point, like...
Oh.
Yeah, so it's fun. The concept is really interesting and fun. It just wasn't delivered very well. So it's a shame.
That is a shame.
Yeah, because it could have been really, really good. And yeah, and the over-explanation, we don't really like it. And then I did my homework.
Well done.
Yeah, finally, after weeks of waiting, I finally did my homework and I watched Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes. In my opinion, the worst Star Wars movie ever made.
Why do you say that?
Because my favourite Star Wars movie, controversially, is The Last Jedi, which takes a lot of what you expect from the middle film in a Star Wars trilogy, like The Empire Strikes Back, and flips it on its head, and takes what you expect characters like Luke Skywalker to be like, and flips them on their head. So you expect Luke Skywalker to be this big hero, and Rey spends all of the Force Awakens looking for him. And then when she finally finds him, he doesn't have any interest in being a Jedi anymore, and he says the Jedi should end, and she has to then fight to convince him to help and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the fan reaction to that was so negative that... And also, that originally it was meant to be Star Wars Episode 9, Duel of the Fates, which was a cool title.
Yeah.
And Colin Trevorrow had written it and was going to direct it. And then he made a movie called The Book of Henry, which is amazing, but also one of the worst films anyone's ever made. I'd love to do a special on The Book of Henry one day, because that movie is... There's so much to talk about with that film. But basically it was so bad that he was fired from the Star Wars project. So they brought in J.J. Abrams, who made The Force Awakens, to very quickly turn around a new sequel that ditched all of the things Colin Trevorrow was going to do, and they very quickly had to write a finale to this 9... So they've over 9 movies, effectively, they've done this Skywalker saga, and then the movie that's going to wrap up the whole thing is suddenly this rush job thing where J.J. Abrams doesn't like all the things that Rian Johnson did in Last Jedi, so kind of spends a lot of the movie either turning back on that kind of stuff or retconning it a little bit. And kind of, the movie feels like it's fighting with its own history and struggling to come up with any other ideas of its own. And also, the writing is awful. The dialogue is terrible. And, they bring back things that didn't need to be brought back, such as Emperor Palpatine. How did he come back? In the words of the movie, somehow.
Somehow, yes.
Somehow he's back. Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's again the final film in a 9-film saga, so should have some stakes, but they're so scared of the fans now that nothing sticks, nothing matters. So Chewbacca dies, and then literally within 10 minutes they're like, oh no, actually he's not dead, he's fine.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
It was entertaining, let's say that.
I
was
will not say
entertaining.
that, but you're free to say that.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
But do you not think?
Because I think
sorry,
because you really played it down.
Because it's awful.
But yeah, it's silly. It's really silly.
I hate the silliness.
Like the fact that Ray is now Ray Palpatine. And it's like, what? Because I was assuming that she was going to be a Skywalker.
Well,
but no,
she's
a Palpatine. Well, she's what the kiss with Ben made a Skywalker.
No, because she just decided to be Skywalker.
Yeah, and I found it difficult to hate because I really love seeing Daisy Ridley, John Boyega.
But do you not hate seeing John Boyega given so poorly served by the movie?
Yeah. I want
and absolutely. Rose. Yeah, exactly. Because you're doing that because they basically cut her out of the film. She's like a main character in The Last Jedi. I really liked her in The Last Jedi. I know I'm the only person in the world that does, apparently. But in this movie, they're like, hey, Rose, we're going on an adventure. You're going to come? And she's like, oh, no, I'm going to stay in base. I'm going to stay at base. And then she's got 2 scenes in the base.
Yeah, it's a disappointment, yeah. And I found it fairly... It was... I think because I'm not invested anymore because it's so... I don't know what they've done. I've just lost maybe the passion for it because.
Do you know why I can't find it entertaining? Because apart from all the big things I've mentioned that are wrong with it, in terms of just being able to sit down and enjoy it as a movie, the MCUification of it all is unbearable to me. There's a scene where they're being chased by. They're on that planet where some of the worst writing that's ever been in a movie happens, where that girl's like, on my planet, it's really important to us to know what your family name is. What's your family?
Oh, that was that was so
awful,
stupid.
And then they get chased out by stormtroopers, and during this very bad action scene where they're being chased by stormtroopers, there's a bit where they start flying after them on jetpacks, and Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac, and this is emblematic of everything that's wrong in the movie, turns around and goes, "They fly now? They fly now." Oh, it's the worst, and it's an MCU-style, bad, stupid quip. And I like those things in those movies, but it doesn't have any place in Star Wars. That kind of stupid, quipping witticism with every character is just throwing out one-liners. That's not what Star Wars is, and that's what they did to Star Wars in that movie. And it means that even the action scenes, I can't find them entertaining because they're so awful to me. I hate that movie. I hate it.
Yeah, it's not great, but
sorry.
I don't know. I think I've hated so much that I just don't care. I don't know. I think they probably just.
What about the bit where they're all drowning in the sand and John Boyega's like, "I've got to tell you something important." What was it?
Yeah, I don't know. Also, why do Ray and Ben kiss?
Somehow.
Why? And why does he disappear?
Because of when Obi-Wan Kenobi disappeared, so it's a thing that you can do.
Maybe I did not like it, actually. I don't know. It was very disjointed, very the Jedi powers have now become crazy. You can resuscitate people. You can. It's just a bit. Yeah.
I actually like that. I like the Force. I like that the Force isn't yet fully known and that it can do things you didn't expect. There's a video game that's better than this movie called Jedi Fallen Order, where you play as this Jedi called Cal Kestis that survived Order 66, and he has a specific power that he can use the Force to look at an item and then know the memories of people that have a strong attachment to that item, and that's a specific Force power that just he and a couple of people can do. And I like that kind of Palpatine has his lightning, for example. That's an evil Jedi power. I like that they've introduced ideas of different things that maybe good Jedi can do that are specific to them, but it's not handled well.
It was just a little bit like I didn't find it as bad as others. I didn't. It was just a bit too much. And it's a shame that they have to listen to their fans so much, because the thing is, they could create new fans that are not old school. I hate everything about this because it's not true to this. That enjoy the film. Not everybody has to enjoy the film.
Yeah, but
thinking about it being the last of a trilogy, it is pretty bad because it's just.
It's
ridiculous.
not even the end of a trilogy. It's the end of a 9-film saga.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the weird thing is, in my professional life, I run a Star Wars fan club for young people, and like 11 through to 13-year-olds. They hate these films, these new ones, and their favourite Star Wars are the prequels.
Okay.
Which came out before they were born. Like, it's not as if they have nostalgia.
Yeah.
To them, they're equally as old as the originals. Do you see what I mean? Like, they're both, all 6 of those films came out before they were born, but they like the prequels the best. They like Jar Jar. That's what the young people seem to like. They don't like these new ones because they're so disjointed all over the place. They like the prequels because they're, I don't know, mad.
No. Yeah. It would have been nice if they just, after episode 7, if they kind of completely went, like episode 8, a little bit off the rails and carried on. And maybe, if they had carried on that way, maybe there could have been more.
Yep.
Because what made me a little bit sad yesterday was like, it's such a shame that these characters, like Finn and Rey and Poe, we're not going to see them anymore.
Yep.
And it's such a shame because they were a really good team and they really worked well together. And I really, I love watching Adam Driver in anything, and I would have loved for him to still be alive and be Ben, not Kylo Ren. So that was really kind of sad, because if they had made money, maybe
I was thinking about this.
Have more.
I was thinking about this yesterday when I was playing a game, and thinking about how it's mad that to a lot of fans of genre stuff like this, and also just in culture generally, in films and things, it seems to sometimes only matter to people whether characters die or live. Like, there's no other, like, any subtlety, any character growth or journeys that people go on are irrelevant. It's just who's going to die and who's going to live.
Yeah.
And it's so much of it comes down to that almost, so it's like people be like, oh well, we have to kill some characters because that's what people will expect. It's like, why does I
quite like the fact that Kylo Ren becomes Ben, and then
but no, he dies.
Well, he doesn't die, he just disappears.
Yeah, because he becomes one with the Force, like Obi-Wan Kenobi did.
Yeah, but he was alive. So he resuscitates Rey.
Yeah, and he uses all his life force to resuscitate her. He gives her his life.
I didn't like the kiss. I thought the kiss was stupid.
Yeah, unnecessary. Didn't need to happen.
I was like, when they kissed, I was like, what? They're like brother and sister. They should hug, not kiss.
No,
I think a hug would have been much better. No. Yeah. I don't know. It's sad. But
well, the next Star Wars movie is being made by our favourite director, Taika Waititi, so we can only go up from here.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we will. What else have you got?
That's it.
Is it?
I think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to know what I've been doing?
You'd be power spraying some virtual dirty stuff.
Other than that, because I've already talked about Power Wash Simulator.
No. What have you been doing?
No, we'll just move on to the next section.
No.
Okay, first of all, I've spent the better part of a full day of my life attempting to access the America-only streaming service HBO Max through use of a VPN. Because if you type into Google how to watch HBO Max in the UK, it comes up and says, oh, couldn't be easier. Simply download a VPN.
Yeah.
tell it you're in America, download the HBO Max app, and then just sign up with PayPal, because you don't need to say what country you're in for PayPal. And I was like, excellent. Fantastic, I can't wait. So I downloaded a VPN, and then I went to and I searched for HBO Max, and it didn't come up. And then I was like, oh, well, sometimes if you search on Google, it will then link you to the store page for it. So I did that, and then the store page came up, and it said not available in your country. And I was like, but I'm on a VPN, and I'm telling it I'm in America. They said it couldn't be easier. This is now challenging. So I made an American Google account and told it I was American, and I cleared all of the cache and data on my Google Play Store and restarted it, and then finally I was able to download the HBO Max app. Great, couldn't be simpler. Log in now.
Yes.
So I signed up for it, logged in, and it said, how are you going to pay? And I said, oh, my dear friend, I'm going to pay for it with PayPal. And they said, well, this is a British PayPal account. And I said, well, you said it couldn't be. Google said it couldn't be simpler. So then I tried to make an American PayPal account. Can't do that without an American phone number. So then I Googled again, how do you pay for HBO Max if you're in the UK? And somebody said, couldn't be easier. Just buy a gift card and use the gift card. So I looked up HBO Max gift cards. They don't exist. That's not a thing that exists. Who wrote that article that said that's what you should do? And then I might get a prepaid American debit card. And then I was like, okay, I'll do that. And I looked it up, and there was a website, and I almost signed up to it and gave them my bank account details. And then I was like, this is a bit shady. I'll just look this up. No, it's a scam. Don't use that site. So that's not an option, really, unless you want to run the risk of being scammed.
Yeah.
So didn't happen. Couldn't get onto HBO Max. Annoying. Because I wanted to watch the first episode of the newest series from one of my all-time favourite comedians, Nathan Fielder, famously of Nathan For You fame, who's back with his HBO show, The Rehearsal. Yeah. And because I live in the stupidest country in the world, I dread when new HBO stuff gets made, because of Sky and Rupert Murdoch and their stupid contracts they've signed with American media companies. We can't have HBO Max in the UK until 2025. We have Now TV instead. And the idea behind Now TV was that, when a HBO show like Game of Thrones comes out, it will be on Now at the same time, which is great for big popular things like Game of Thrones. But when it's something less popular, they don't care. They don't bother to get it on there for you. So I can't watch it. I can't watch The Rehearsal on Now TV. I can't watch it on HBO Max, despite the endless articles on Google saying couldn't be simpler, couldn't be easier.
What I don't understand.
Yes.
And maybe you can explain that to
Go.
me. Why, for Netflix, HBO Max, and all these things, why can we not have unlimited showing of everything? Since we're paying for stuff, and at the end of the day, I've got Netflix, and sometimes I watch Netflix for Japan using a VPN. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why we can't have HBO Max in England. It makes no sense, because in theory, if you're going to pay money, whatever money comes in is going to be, I will pay in pounds and you receive dollars. You know, I don't understand why we can't just all watch the same things. For example, Disney Plus is all the same, isn't it?
To a degree, but stuff that goes to Hulu in America comes to Disney Plus in the UK, but not at the same time. So there's a similar issue happening at the moment with a show called The Old Man, which stars our favourite actor Jeff Bridges is a sort of retired spy. It's going to be very, very good. That's on Hulu. No, that's actually on FX in America, which is a Fox channel, which is owned by Disney. So when it comes to the UK, it will be on Star on Disney Plus, but it's not on there yet. They've decided to
why?
Wait. Because they want to wait because they haven't promoted it and marketed it and advertised it, so they're not going to get maximum viewers on it immediately, so they need to wait until they're ready to show it. Because
that's just absolute crap.
Yeah, because it's business focused instead of consumer friendly. So it's all, and at some point in the past, HBO have signed a content deal with Sky B in the UK before streaming really existed, guaranteeing Sky the rights to content made by them, right? But then now that we have streaming services, it creates a more complicated thing where you know that Nathan Fielder's new show, The Rehearsal, is out, but because Sky and Now TV as an extension get a first right access to it in the UK, can't watch it because they've not bothered to get it ready to stream because it's not the right time. It's annoying. And it shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't be a thing in the age of streaming. These services should be available globally. It's ridiculous that they're, that's why at least when something is a Netflix thing, I'm always glad because it means we'll get it at the same time as everyone else. Whereas some things in the UK just, like there's a show called How To with John Wilson, which is executive produced by Nathan Fielder that I would love to watch. That's about 2 years old at this point. Never made it to anything. Isn't even out on Amazon Video to like digitally rent or buy, which is mad. Like I will give you money. Like let me give you money specifically to watch The Rehearsal. I will pay you money. I will pay you £5 per episode to watch The Rehearsal. That's how much I want to watch. Like I don't want to go around the corner and cheat using VPNs, etc. I'll happily pay what you want me to pay to watch your stuff. Just make it available. Why are you making it unavailable?
But it makes no sense that like these old contracts that they did between HBO and Sky, because it must have been like, why doesn't HBO, that is a multi-billion-dollar company probably, pay Sky saying, well, we're not going to give you the rights anymore, break the contract.
That's not how the contract works. Like you can't just break. That's
crazy
contract.
though.
I know it's mad. This is why.
Because you can make so much more money if you have like worldwide viewers.
Yeah, but this is like Marvel signed a deal with Sony to give Sony just perpetual rights to Spider-Man in cinema. And that's why we have this weird Spider-Man Tom Holland thing where it's the movies are made by Marvel, but the money goes to Sony still. Because they own the rights to the character. And that will, the only way that will end is if Disney buy Sony Pictures, which they probably will at some point. Anyway,
Anywho,
in the end, our good friend Dan in Australia came through because The Rehearsal is available on an Australian streaming service.
Oh,
just not a British one. So something called Foxtel, which you can get access in Australia. I was able to finally use that to watch The Rehearsal, and The Rehearsal. So Nathan For You was a show where Nathan Fielder would go and help struggling businesses to improve with new ideas. For example, if you were a yogurt shop a frozen yogurt shop struggling to get new customers to come in, maybe Nathan would come up with an exciting new flavour of yogurt for them to try, such as poo flavoured yogurt. And then the great thing about Nathan Fielder that makes him a very good comedian and very good at doing these kinds of shows is that he commits entirely to the bit every time. So like he doesn't just go, let's do a poo flavoured yogurt, throw a bunch of brown food colouring in there. He goes to a professional laboratory that produces tastes for things and gets them to make something that's genuinely poo flavoured, and then he genuinely makes the guy make poo flavoured yogurt. And it's horrible, obviously. But
really?
he commits to the bit. So The Rehearsal, instead of helping struggling businesses, now he's helping people with big life moments. So he's recruited, I think there's 6 episodes in total, and he's recruited people who have a big event in their life that they want to get right. And he helps them prepare for it by rehearsing for it. So in the first episode, he hooks up with this guy who's on a pub trivia team in America. And for the last 12 years, he's been lying to his team, saying that he has a master's degree. But he doesn't actually have a master's degree. And he's very nervous to tell, in particular, one of his teammates who's quite emotional and could fly off the handle quite easily. He's very nervous to tell her the truth, but he wants to get it off his back. So Nathan, using HBO's money, constructs a life-size, perfectly, completely accurate replica of the bar that they play trivia in, hires a load of actors, hires an actress to play this friend of this guy, and then gets him to run through the evening 15 times with all different potential possibilities to rehearse this moment again and again and again and again to try and find out whether to kind of help the guy do this thing. And the beautiful thing about The Rehearsal is I was quite nervous about it because it's like Nathan For You is such a perfect TV show in my opinion, and the energy that he brings to it, I was like, will that translate to this new idea? And it does 100%. It is exactly the same vibe and feeling and energy of Nathan For You, just with a different focus. And he's very, very good at pulling out moments, like getting people to reveal something odd about themselves, or so like this moment comes up where it turns out the guy is basically more, even though the rehearsal is all to do with, and the reason that he's set up this trivia night for just him and this girl is to tell her that he doesn't really have a degree. Nathan works out that he's still determined to win the trivia evening. And that if he loses the trivia evening, he won't tell her this truth because he'll be too focused on being stressed out about not knowing the trivia. So Nathan has to come up with like a way of making sure the guy knows the answers to the trivia questions, but without telling the guy that that's what he's doing, because the guy wouldn't cheat, if you see what I mean. So that's a very funny. And there's a bit where the guy says, "It's like he walks into this bar for the first time. It's like it's a perfect recreation of this bar. You're like Willy Wonka." And Nathan Fielder just perfectly picks up on that and just starts having a conversation with him about the fact that Willy Wonka murdered a load of children in a factory, and why is he telling him that he's like Willy Wonka when effectively he's like the bad guy of the story. And he's just very good at like pulling on threads that people say and finding the comedy in it. It's great. And then the moment, I won't spoil it too much because people should watch it if you're in the UK when it's available. But the moment where you watch this rehearsal happen again and again, the moment where the real thing happens and you get to see it play out for real and see how the guy does it, it feels like Nathan's genuinely helped this man prepare for what to him is a really big, important moment in his life. And it's actually more so than he ever achieved in Nathan For You. It actually ends up being quite sweet and emotionally quite affecting. And it's the first episode is all that's out so far, but it's an amazing piece of television, and I loved it, and I can't wait to see more of it. So the rehearsal, it took me an unreasonable amount of time to watch it, but I'm really glad I did because I thought it was brilliant. Moving on, another new TV show that is available widely to everyone because it's on Netflix, so they just put stuff up for everyone at once, is the new Resident Evil adaptation.
I saw that.
Yep, that's hit the 2022 Resident Evil show. Lots of warning signs about this show. When they announced that it was set in two timelines, one in 2022 following a character called Albert Wesker, and if you've played any of the games, you'll be aware of how important he is. And then there was some, I don't even want to talk about it really, but there was some outcry because they announced that Lance Reddick was playing Albert Wesker, and Lance Reddick is a black actor and Albert Wesker is not a black character in the games. They are lucky to have someone as good as Lance Reddick playing this character in this show. Like, he is the reason, if you're going to watch this show, it's because of Lance Reddick. The man is one of the greatest character actors. You'll know him. He plays the hotel concierge in John Wick, in the John Wick movies. He's that very...
I like him.
He's amazing. He's never done anything bad. I absolutely adore him. And I was like, really... But some idiots were like, oh, it's not... Doesn't matter. Like, they
from the back of their computers, just like...
Exactly.
You could just imagine their faces, like these big toad men.
They struck gold getting out Lance Reddick in this show, and it well done them for inspired casting, because he's perfect. The bigger genuine worry in a way is that the character of Albert Wesker dies in one of the games, which is set in 2009, and they said this show is set in 2022, and the main character is Albert Wesker and his two twin daughters, and everyone was like, well, he doesn't have twin daughters, and he died 11 years before that, or 13 years before that, so it's not canonical to the games then. And then the creators were like, oh no, it's canonical to the games, and we know that he died, and, watch the show. And then the second timeline is 2036, following one of his daughters as an adult Jade Wesker, attempting to survive in a sort of apocalyptic zombie wasteland. And it's very far removed from... It's not a direct adaptation of any of the games, which I guess got people worried. And then it came out, and the reviews are wild. Like, loads of reviews are, this is terrible and dreadful and don't watch it and it's awful. And then places like The Guardian gave it 4 stars and were like, you'll binge this to death. It's so much fun. And GameSpot, quite a big gaming website in America, gave it 9 out of 10 and called it the best adaptation of Resident Evil to date. And
nice.
That's not saying that much, because the other adaptations are various bad CGI animated films a run of Mila Jovovich starring Paul W.S. Anderson directed movies, which are intermittently fun, but bear less and less resemblance to Resident Evil as they go along. And a film from last year called Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, which I adore, but is generally not very well regarded. But anyway, I sat down to watch it skeptical and watched the first 20 minutes of the first episode and was like, I'm not going to watch any more of this. It's awful, and the dialogue is unbearable, and the acting is weird, and the only good thing in it is Lance Reddick, and it was pretty disappointing. But then my brother carried on watching it and was messaging me about it, and it sounded interesting, and then I caught COVID and had literally nothing else to do. So I watched it, and I watched the whole thing in about 3 days, and all 8 episodes, and it turned out that it's kind of great. Oh. And I really hope people give it more of a chance than it seems to have gotten, especially any big Resident Evil fans who turned off after the first episode. Stick with it and keep going. And like the questions about how canonical it is to the games are answered. The fact that Wesker died in Resident Evil 5 but is in this show that's set after it and stuff. All of that, actually, they end up sort of approaching it and answering those questions. And it's silly and it's stupid and it's goofy, but so are the games. Like, this isn't an adaptation of a Jane Austen novel. This is an adaptation of a video game about biological monsters. It's good. It's a good show. Lance Reddick is the reason to watch it. He's really fantastic in it, and he gets to do quite a lot of range. And some of the stuff set in the future with the grown-up Jade character is a bit weaker because, and it's no offense to the actress playing her, but the character is not that well written and makes some really some of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen a character make in anything, and made by Jade Wesker in this show. But other than that, I had a really good time with it and would recommend it to people. People should check it out. Up next, last TV show I want to talk about is a new show that's on Apple Plus. Again, thanks to Apple, it's widely available to everyone. If you have a subscription to that show. It's a TV show called Blackbird. It's based on a true story. It's showrun, as in it's written and sort of produced and stuff by a guy called Dennis Lehane, who's mainly a novelist, who wrote like the novels for Mystic River and Shutter Island, and is well versed in sort of crime drama stuff. This show follows a character called Jimmy, played by Taron Egerton, who we know from Rocketman and the Kingsman movies, etc. In the 90s, he's a big-time cocaine dealer. Gets caught early on in the first episode. Takes a plea deal to just do 5 years. Gets basically betrayed by the judge and gets given a 10-year prison sentence. And is devastated because his relationship with his father, who he's very close to, is going to be affected by this. His father has a stroke in the first episode. His father, played by Ray Liotta, who sadly passed away recently, he's great in this, and it's great that he got this one last opportunity to show off his talent. And in order to try and hopefully see his father before he gets any iller, he takes a deal where he is given this offer by the police to get transferred to a maximum security prison in an attempt to befriend a suspected serial murderer to try and get from this guy the location of a body. And if he can find out where this body is, they'll commute his sentence and release him immediately so that he can be with his father. The killer, Larry, is played by Paul Walter Hauser, who is in I, Tonya. He plays a bodyguard, I think, in I, Tonya.
Okay.
And is also in Cruella, the Cruella movie and stuff. He's a great actor and is really good in this. He's doing this really white. My brother described it sounding like Kermit the Frog. He's doing this very interesting voice, and he's got these huge mutton chop sideburns, which he keeps telling people are actually called burn sides. And Greg Kinnear is also in there as a detective investigating the original killings. And finally, there's a really good actress in it who I've not seen in anything else, who plays the detective that sort of makes this offer to Taron Egerton, and she's called Sepide Moathi. Apologies if I'm getting that wrong, but she's very good in this. She's like really, really good in it. And the music is all done by Scottish band Mogwai, interestingly.
Oh, cool.
So Apple don't do a Netflix. They don't put everything up to binge. They release things one at a time, pretty much. So I watched the 4th episode this morning out of 6. So it's not finished it, but so far I think it's amazing. I really, really, really like it. It's an interesting thing where it's a serial killer drama, but instead it doesn't really focus on, like, there's not much violence in it. You don't see any of the killings happen. It's all pretty much set, a lot of it anyway, is set within the prison, and follows Jimmy as he attempts to befriend and understand this guy. And there's all these questions being asked outside about whether he even did the killings at all. Is he a serial confessor? There's discoveries that maybe he planted evidence on himself that couldn't have been real, and maybe he didn't do some of these murders. So is he really a killer at all? And it's a very, the way the story plays out is it's just very well done. It's just extremely well made, and it's nice to see something this well done, and well made and stuff. And the acting is great. Taron Egerton is great in it. He looks like Robert Patrick in Terminator 2. He's like made himself into a triangle shape almost, which apparently is like quite important to the original guy that it's based on. So yeah, I'd really recommend Blackbird. I think it's fantastic. And lastly, very quickly, 2 video games I've also played this week while I've been away. A game that you would like, Alex, called Stray, which is set in a futuristic city that is lived in by robots. But you don't play as a robot, you play as an ordinary cat. And you team up with this little robot companion that lives in a backpack that you wear, and you run around this city doing little tasks for the robots and trying to find your way back out into the world where the rest of your cat family are. And
nice.
It's just a fun, simple little game that really commits to the idea of you being a cat, and like every rug that you walk across, you can press a button to make biscuits on it. And every sofa that you pass, you can press a button to scratch the couch and stuff. And yeah, it's a pretty wonderful little thing, and the animation's very well done. And if you press circle, your cat does a meow, and there's not any real gameplay reason for it other than it's lovely to be able to just press a button to make a meow noise. It's delightful, and it's about 4 hours long. I played through the whole thing this week. At full price, it's £25 in the UK, which is too much money. But if you are a subscriber to the, it's only on PlayStation. If you're a subscriber to the newly released PlayStation Plus premium tier thing, you can get it for free, which is definitely worth for free. So Stray is good. And then over on the Xbox, I've been playing a game called As Dusk Falls, which I wanted to mention because in the trailers it looked awful. They've been trailing it for a while, and it's like an interactive graphic novel. So in all the trailers, it's a story of a family who gets stuck in a motel on a road trip across the country to move house, and then the motel gets taken over by 3 brothers who are on the run, and they get taken hostage. That's like the setup, but it's all done through still images with voiceover over them, and then like occasional lighting effects and stuff, but there's no actual animation on the characters because that's the kind of art style that they've gone for. And in a trailer it looks awful because you're like, why would you play this sort of weird, it looks like a flash animation thing. But in actuality, I think the reason that it looks like that is because the gameplay is entirely based around making choices about what your characters are going to say and do and how they react to different situations, and the events can play out in so many different ways that to animate all of those things would take forever. So instead they've done it with this motion comic style and just done a lot of voiceover to kind of enrich it, and the quality of the voice acting is incredibly high caliber, and the writing is really, really good. So you almost forget, once you get into it and get into the rhythm of it, you forget that you're watching these still images because the world gets brought to life by the quality of the acting and the writing. And it allows there to be such a huge degree of choice for the player that it kind of, it's like you're playing a prestige drama. This is what all the reviews say. It's like you're playing your version of a Breaking Bad episode, and you're given the freedom to like decide what the characters will do. And there's genuinely very different outcomes because of they've taken this shortcut in terms of the animation. And it looked really bad in trailers, and I was really kind of like not even going to give it the time of day, but it turns out I've played the first 2 chapters and it's It's really, really enjoyable. And again, it's on Game Pass. So if you're on Game Pass on the Xbox, you can play it basically for free. And I would recommend it.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's my culture catch-up. The Rehearsal, Resident Evil, Blackbird Stray, and As Dusk Falls.
I forgot that I finished Miss Marvel.
Oh, did you? So what did you think of that?
Yeah. It was okay. It was okay. Like, not the best. I didn't mind episode 5. I didn't think it was that awful.
That was the weakest one for me. What did you think of the finale?
The finale is interesting, I guess. The acting was pretty wooden, I feel, most of the times. And
I thought,
especially from certain people that maybe had to suffer a little bit more. But it was fine. It was good. It was good. It was entertaining. I hope that maybe in the second season, if they're gonna do another season.
Well, the next time we see her will be in the Marvels, the next sort of Captain Marvel thing.
It would have been nice to kind of like make a little bit more less. I think they were trying to put so much stuff in 6 episodes, and I think it was a little bit rushed in a way. In some points,
yeah,
it wasn't too bad. I don't. One thing that the reason why I wanted to speak to you about it is why can we spoil it for the last episode?
Yeah, it's been out for a few weeks at this point.
Okay, so why is Brie Larson appearing?
Well, because she's Miss Marvel. Because of
Is she?
No. But Miss Marvel is connected to like in the original comic book. When what's her name? When Kamala gets her powers, she gets them from the Terrigen Mists, which is an Inhuman thing, which they're not really doing in the MCU. So she has a different power set where she can stretch her body a bit like Mr. Fantastic and the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And initially, she can alter her body so much that she can look like different people. So when she first starts out as a superhero, she makes herself look like Carol Danvers and pretends to be Captain Marvel for a little while. And then she becomes comfortable with who she is and becomes Miss Marvel and looks like Kamala Khan does, properly.
Yeah.
And the character, like, it's integral to the character that she is a fangirl of Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So the next Captain Marvel movie isn't called Captain Marvel 2, it's called The Marvels, and is going to be Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel, and probably, is it Monica Rambeau, who gets powers in WandaVision?
Okay.
The 3 of them teaming up for some sort of a film event. So that I think that post-credit scene where Brie Larson pops up is a run-in to the Marvels film where they've swapped places for some reason.
Okay.
Which is cool. I don't know. I think Miss Marvel, the show, is a bit slight at times. I don't like the way it wraps up all the villains that you think are the main villains in episode 5. Like, that's very quickly kind of all tied up, and then episode 6 is a totally new thing with damage control. But I think that what matters is Iman Vellani is brilliant as Miss Marvel. Like, if somebody acting might be wooden, I didn't think her acting was wooden. I thought she was really good at it.
No, Cameron was really wooden.
He's not very good. Hopefully we won't see too much more of him. He definitely.
And then the Bruno was pretty.
Who's Bruno?
Her best friend.
Yeah.
The whiz kid.
I thought he was okay, but he didn't nothing.
I really like the brother Amir.
Yeah,
I think he was great.
Good.
He was really fun. And the father, like certain, but some of the characters that you're supposed to kind of feel sorry for, and just kind of, Kamran is one of the main characters that you kind of want them. It's just like I didn't really care.
No, that's fair. But I think.
And I found Bruno really irritating. I was just like.
But I think for me the characters that matter are like her, Kamala Khan, because she's going to be in more stuff, and I thought she was great. Yeah. And then I thought that...
I really liked Nakia. I thought she was great.
Nakia was good. And then her parents, I liked, especially her dad. That conversation she has with her dad where he gives her the Miss Marvel name is really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that...
Yeah, there are some sweet moments. For me, it was just like it was really good and then really bad. Like it didn't really match a lot of things.
Yeah. I didn't think it was that bad. I don't know. For me, it needed to introduce the character and allow it to, get ready to have a bigger presence in the MCU, and it worked on that level. And I really liked seeing her in Biggin in the last episode, where she gets a big shell around her because that's kind of a bit more like what her powers are like in the actual comic books, where she makes herself bigger. And then obviously there's a little hint at possible X-Men stuff to come, which is cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it not perfect, but I got what I wanted out of it and really enjoyed it ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got some time for some MyTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, I'm going to show you something, first of all, that I think looks better than it should. This has just come out of Comic-Con in America, this trailer, so have a look at this and see what you think.
Okay, so Georgia just sent me Dungeons and Dragons Honor. God, I hate American spelling. Honor Among Thieves.
Yes.
Honor. It's not Honor.
No, not Honor.
Honor. Honor Among Thieves. It's just something that I really dislike when there's no U, because for me it's like honor. Honor. Neighbor.
Namor.
That's really weird.
Agreed.
Namor.
But that's how they spell it.
Yeah, I guess. It just nothing like, for example, theatre doesn't really bother me. The different spelling of theatre. But this one, for some reason, just because for me that doesn't say honor, it says honor. I don't know. It just messes up with my head. Never mind. I'm ready to watch it.
Okay.
I can already see Chris Pine.
Yes, please.
And Michelle Rodriguez behind.
Yes, please.
Oh, hello. Oh.
All right, should we start?
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. It's got one of those annoying little trailers before the trailer thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. We're a team of thieves. And when you do this...
Okay, they're a team of thieves.
Yep.
Chris Pine is the leader.
Yep.
Sometimes those
Along with a guy who was in Bridgerton and everyone loves, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Big dragon.
There are dragons, of course, Dungeons and Dragons.
But it's not shooting fire, it's shooting like an oil or something.
Wow.
It doesn't necessarily look too derivative.
Music, very good music.
Oh, yeah.
You always need some kind of Led Zeppelin.
And they filmed this on location in, I think, Northern Ireland, which I think you can tell from the trailer. It's
Oh,
all just on green screen, Marvel-style backgrounds.
Nice.
Figure it out over a drink?
Probably best. You need to give us a
Oh.
fighting chance. We're gonna need strength. You got this.
This
right?
is not Led Zeppelin, who is it?
Yeah, it's Led Zeppelin.
It is, isn't it? Okay. Because I always get the names wrong. So it looks like fun.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like a, let's say, Marvel kind of thing. There's adventure, there are dragons, but in a kind of fantasy land. Marvel in a fantasy land, not...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that the red-haired girl is from the It films. If you,
Oh.
I'm glad he's on our side.
So now Dungeons and Dragons is all crazy.
Well, it's been written and directed by... There he is. Did you see him?
Oh! I haven't seen him in a while in a film.
Yeah.
What's his name? Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. Love a bit of Hugh Grant.
Wow, what is he doing?
Probably being a bad guy, I reckon.
Lovely. Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves.
I'm a planner. I make plans.
You've already made the plan, so
If the existing plan fails, I make a new plan.
you make plans that fail.
No,
He also plays the lute.
not relevant.
I think Chris Pine is the best Chris.
I like Chris Pine.
I love Chris Pine.
What? Best Chris?
Yeah.
How about Thor?
He's good. I prefer Chris Pine.
So, be quiet.
What about Chris Evans?
Isn't
Chris Evans is better than Hemsworth.
Chris Evans is pretty cool.
Hemsworth's near at
I
the
like
bottom
all the
for
Chris's.
me. The only one below Hemsworth is Pratt, because obviously he's the worst Chris.
Chris Pratt. Also, he's got a terrible name, Chris Pratt. See, I quite like this kind of like funny fantasy film.
Yeah, right. Like they made a Dungeons and Dragons movie years ago that was a huge failure, and I think that tonally, it like Dungeons and Dragons shouldn't be like Lord of the Rings, because it's not got a big novel of serious heroics to base itself on. It's based on friends getting together and playing a game together, and the tone of the film should match that, and I think it does. And interestingly, it has been written and directed by the two people that made a movie called Game Night a few years ago, which is a comedy.
Oh, I
right?
like that film. Yeah, that's a really good film.
Yeah, it's funny, but also a good action comedy thing.
Yeah.
And like, I think they're the perfect people to pick to make this film, and I think it looks kind of brilliant. I really hope it's good.
Wasn't Chris Pine in Star Trek?
Yeah, he played Captain Kirk.
Was he? Yeah, Captain Kirk. Is that Star Trek finished now?
Oh, there's a whole weird thing where Paramount announced they were making another one with all of that cast coming back, and then all of that cast were like, well, you didn't tell us that you were doing this, which complicated contract negotiations, because suddenly all the cast were able to negotiate for a salary from a position of strength because they knew. Because Paramount had already announced to the public that this was happening. It was a very weird thing to do. But supposedly that movie is coming, so there will be more Chris Pine, Captain Kirk, which I'm glad, because I don't have a big affinity for Star Trek, but I like those movies. Cause,
I like Star Trek. I don't like Star Trek, but I like that Star Trek.
Yeah, I'll watch Chris Pine be Captain Kirk whenever you can get it done, because he's great. He's great. He's so good. And like I saw somebody saying, like, based on this trailer, like, this is the only man that could ever potentially take over Indiana Jones, and no, he shouldn't, but yes, he is the only one that potentially could, if you see what I mean.
No. Yeah.
Give him as much work as you can. And yeah, it looks great, right? Yeah, let's see it.
That looks very
Michelle
fun.
Rodriguez is always good to see her and stuff, and into it. Right, something that might be slightly less positive now, because I just needed to watch this because it looks mad, and you can tell me what you think of it as we go.
Oh, God. Okay. So, George sent me a trailer called Rob Zombie, The Munsters.
You know the Munsters?
I don't know. Was it a series, a black and white series?
Yeah, a black and white
kind of
sitcom,
Addams Family,
a bit
kind of
like Addams Family, about a family of monsters, where the dad was a Frankenstein and the
Yeah.
So I don't particularly have a big affinity for the Munsters, but apparently Rob Zombie does. So he's made a new movie about.
Who's Rob Zombie?
He's a guy. He was in a band. He's a metal guy. He's made like House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects and a bunch of horror films.
Nice.
See what you think of this.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. So we've got the old Universal logo.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was a little plane.
A little plane.
Little plane going around the world. A Universal picture.
Rob Zombie, the director of House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, this is so old school.
Right?
It's like Rob Zombie, the
greatest love story ever
the greatest love story ever told.
I don't like the sound of that.
Okay. So it's going to be a comedy. Filmed with an iPhone or something.
Makes my blood run cold. A man that every time he enters my crypt,
Well,
it's like a stake through my dead black.
the difference between... Didn't she have like her hair up like Marge Simpson?
No, I think that was
Remember what happened
more.
last time?
He was bad.
No, she didn't.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
You're thinking of The Bride of Frankenstein.
Okay, sorry.
For a vision. A queen.
Okay, so it's supposed to be a comedy
What exactly do you want?
Is Herman Munster in there?
of them two getting together.
So it's like an origin
Okay.
story.
I thought you that you were special.
Ah,
I
okay.
understand if you don't feel the same. I'm just a regular gal living a boring, normal life.
If there's one thing I know, is that the rest of the world melted away.
It looks
as soon as you
awful.
it seems Miss Lily's truly
Sorry.
loved. Oh, come on, you know and I know that we gotta get rid of that bozo Herman Munster.
It looks like one of those old school trailers from the 90s, I guess. Then it goes black and white. Okay. Sorry, I have no words.
No, I have no
I don't know what
words.
to say.
It's
It just looks... Is this the entire film in the trailer?
maybe.
That's a strange way of saying hello.
Oh, I guess we're gonna have to get used to it.
So what do you think?
Why are we... Why... What? I don't... Oh, it looks awful.
It's
Like,
it's
really
kind of set the internet
unoriginal.
on fire a little bit this week because of how...
Why?
Because people hate it. People think it looks awful.
Like, I don't understand the point in this film. I don't know. It's really weird.
Well, it's meant to be a new version of an old sitcom.
Yeah, but okay, but it makes no sense.
No. He's gotten quite annoyed at people because he got this idea that people thought that he was making a $40 million film, and he did a big thing saying if you added up the budgets of like his last 4 movies, it wouldn't even add up to $30 million. So it's a very cheap movie. But I don't think the budget is the problem. I think the writing and acting and everything else is clearly... I mean, I don't have much affinity for the Munsters. I don't really know what the Munsters are. But
I don't even know what it is really about. I think it's probably like a bad copy of The Addams Family for...
Yeah, although they started about
TV.
the same time. They're not... Like,
Okay.
it's not really a rip-off of The Addams Family. They kind of... I think The Addams Family was slightly earlier, but only by a small amount.
Yeah, but it just looked really kind of wooden and terrible, and the costumes are not very good. Like, why rely on the same kind of bad costumes they used to do? Like, we'll make it better.
Yeah, you could do it better. You could definitely do it better. But I've watched a few clips of the old show, and it's like that looks better than this looks.
Also, like Frankenstein, he's not green, is he?
Yeah, Frankenstein's a green guy.
Is he? Well, he's not Frankenstein. The monster is not usually green.
He often is, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird looking film.
Yeah.
Looking film.
Definitely. I wish I hadn't watched that trailer.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Do you want me to cheer you up with one last quick trailer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
This looks...
Let it be good.
Well, it's interesting.
Ugh. Okay. So, to cheer me up, George has sent me Welcome to Wrexham official trailer.
Yeah?
Okay.
You ready to start?
Yeah. Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
You happy to watch that?
Well, so you don't... I'm guessing that you don't know what this is about at all.
No.
Okay, this is going to be interesting then. All right, are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. FX. Oh, it's about football. Okay.
I've got with me Ryan Reynolds and Rob
Oh.
McElhenney.
Oh, so Ryan Reynolds is playing himself.
Yeah, it's a documentary.
Ah.
We had no direct connection. It was just a feeling.
Oh, they're buying Wrexham Football
They've
Club?
bought it.
Because Wrexham's red, and Deadpool's red.
That's the real
Oh. So they just bought a football club in Wrexham?
Yep.
Why?
Who knows?
Welcome to Wrexham.
Wow. And they're just two random guy that bought Wrexham Football Club. Is it in which division is it?
It's not in the Premier League. I know that much.
So they just bought a failing.
Well, it's not necessarily failing to not be in the Premier
Well,
League.
like they
small
bought a
football
small Yeah.
Football club.
It's an underdog story. And it's about
An underdog story.
between the club and the community.
Okay. Why Wrexham?
It's not life and
I
death.
guess they could afford it.
It's more
Oh, I
important
guess so.
than that.
How strange.
Those games with your kids,
Like,
your father, your
what?
brother.
With all the things that Ryan Reynolds could do, buy a football club is the last.
In North Wales.
If they're successful,
Yeah.
it will be the biggest day in the history of the town.
Wow. I want to watch it.
It's interesting, right? It's like a really
Yeah.
weird... Like, it got announced last year that they were buying Wrexham. It's just so odd. But it looks like it might
and
be
you
quite
go,
a
what
straight-
a pillock. Ryan Reynolds is now buying a football club. I couldn't hate him even more.
But it looks like kind of... well, it's mainly Rob McElhenney that I'm interested in rather than Ryan Reynolds, because he's in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But it looks like they've approached it in a very sincere way.
Yeah, definitely. Because if it's on FX, would it be on...
It'll be on Disney Plus
at
in
some
the
point?
UK when they bother to release it. Presumably because it's about something in the UK, they'll bring it out. Or because it's about something in the UK, they'll wait until they can promote it a bunch and make us wait. Who can even know? But yeah, be interesting to see it. Welcome to Wrexham.
Yeah, defo.
Mm. Well, that's all the MyTube.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk?
It definitely made me feel better than the trailer before.
Yeah, fair enough. Would you like to talk about Stranger Things?
Yes! Yes.
All right.
Definitely.
So, Stranger Things Volume 4.
Yeah.
Now, let's just remind ourselves when... So, Stranger Things Volume 3 was released in 2019. And in July, and Stranger Things Volume 4 Part 1 came out in May, the end of May 2022, so that is a 3-year wait, which I endured. However, you did not.
I didn't.
No.
Not
did it feel being able to just run straight into Volume 4?
Incredible but bizarre, because I went from kind of teenagers to near adults. And that was really weird because I didn't realize how much they had grown.
Yeah, Lucas has gotten big.
Lucas is big. Will has still got the same haircut, but he's a man band. Like his voice is just like blah.
Yeah.
Mike doesn't even look like the same person.
No, he's all 90-degree angles now.
If you told me that the kid from season 1 was not the same person from season 4, I would have believed you, because they don't look like the same person, and is weird. And so
Dustin looks broadly the same, doesn't he?
Dustin looks the same, yeah. Millie Bobby Brown 11 is like a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's but then, Steve, Nancy, Jonathan all look the same.
Yeah.
Jonathan looks a little bit rugged, but he's always looked rugged, I think.
Well, he's a Yorkshireman, so he's always going to look fairly rugged.
Yeah. He looks like an old man, really. But yeah, it was weird because I didn't realize how much they had grown. And if Stranger Things started in season 4 and you told me that they were a bunch of 15-year-olds, I think that's when they do high school, don't they?
Yeah.
I would have believed it. It's like, yeah, of course. But now that I know that, now you go, no, they can't be, because they were kids and now they're adults.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
Yeah, it is bonkers.
What was your main, what were the questions you wanted answered when you went into season 4? There was one big one that I think we all were waiting to discover.
Was there?
Hopper. What became of Hopper?
Yeah.
He sort
of course. What became?
dies.
Sorry. Yeah. Where is Hopper? Yeah, because unfortunately, when I watched the last episode, I didn't see the last bit.
Oh.
So I knew he couldn't have been dead just because of the press, but then maybe could have been dead. I don't know. And maybe he was doing flashbacks, but I didn't see the last bit of the season 3 where it says, "Where's the American?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was Where is Hopper? But yeah, that was
because you sent me a message saying that you were so sad that Hopper had died, and I was just like, I'm
Yeah,
just not going to
yeah.
reply to that because
Yeah.
anything I say will be a
Yes.
spoiler.
So I didn't see that the last part, and so I thought he was kind of maybe
They
dead.
started doing trailers and stuff for this, like it felt like a year before it actually came out
Yeah.
because of COVID and stuff. It all got so delayed that like it came out ages ago that he was going to be in a Russian gulag, and he like when Black Widow came out, he was doing interviews where he was like talking about how he'd had to say to the Duff brothers that make Stranger Things like, I've signed on to do Black Widow and my character is in a prison in Russia in the snow. Sorry, because he seemed to think it was a real problem for him to do like two things set in a Russian prison, and they had to like work out how to make it feel different.
Yeah.
So we kind of
It took me the longest time to remember that he is the same guy from Black Widow.
yeah, he is.
But he doesn't look like it.
No, he looks pretty different. To be fair, he's got his shaved head and stuff in this.
Yeah.
So like it's a weird thing where everybody knew that he was still alive, but in Volume 4 they do drag it out just a little bit before you really see kind of what's become of him. I think that was the main thing. I think as well, I guess 11 loses her powers at the end of Volume 3.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen there? That was a big question. And we get all of that and more answered throughout Volume 4, which is 9 episodes long. But because of the length of those episodes being ridiculous, it's by quite some distance the longest season they've done. I think the total running time must be close to twice as long as the others.
Yeah, I wish this is the only time that I really wish Netflix did weekly episodes.
Yeah, I'm really starting to come around to thinking that they should just start doing weekly episodes of stuff.
Because I wanted to catch up and I think I saw before, because I was still finishing season 3, and I think the reason also I did not ask about Hopper because I think I saw a scene that I never saw before with him, and I was like, spoiler.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish that it would have been Stranger Things, especially because the episodes are so long. Yeah. You can't just watch 2.
Yeah.
That they did weekly ones.
I mean, they split up a little bit, but probably not enough. And they insisted that it was because they were still finishing the special effects for the last episodes, which was crazy considering how long they've had to make it. But apparently so. So it kind of similar, actually, I guess, in structure to other seasons. They team up different sets of characters, and like it really is like 1, 2, 3, about 4 or 5 stories all run in parallel to each other of different characters teamed up in different kind of configurations as we go through.
Yeah.
With the main thrust of the plot happening in Hawkins and centered around these sort of murders that shake the town to its very core. It plays a lot on the satanic panic that was big in America in the 80s, centered around one character in particular who is awful. The captain of the basketball team is like the human villain in this season. But
he plays it so well because he's so evil.
Yeah, you hate him.
Like I hate him.
In the last episode, you see his body get torn in half, and you're like, "Good, I'm glad."
Wow. Yeah. Go away. Good riddance.
No more of
you. Yeah, because he's just in sight. He's just like what embodies awfulness.
Yeah. What's he called?
I think name? American hysteria. You know, there's this American hysteria that of like I'm the good guy, but I'm gonna destroy you. It's like you're not the good guy.
No, he's not the good guy. He's awful. Yeah, he sucks. I can't remember his name. Is he called Jason? Is that him?
Oh, I don't know. I don't care. I hate him.
Yeah, he is. He's called Jason. He's bad. But we do get some good new characters. I think maybe the biggest new character we get in this season. Well, in terms of good guys, we get Eddie Munson, played by Joseph Quinn. Who
has become a fan favorite and everybody loves him.
Yeah, I bet they're regretting the way they finished his story.
Do you think they might bring him back?
The way that the internet has fallen in love with Eddie Munson, I could see them trying to do something to bring him back, because it does feel like people really have in a way that, like, when he first pops up in the very first episode, I was like, this guy, oh my God, this guy is awful.
Yeah, same.
And he seems to be that kind of that person you meet sometimes who's trying to control the friendship group, and he doesn't want Lucas to be involved with the basketball team, and he's very sort of controlling and childish.
Yeah.
But then over the course of the 9 episodes, you really sort of fall for him, and then by the time in the finale he's playing Master of Puppets on top of a on top of a caravan in the Upside
he
Down.
Definitely Steve Harrington does.
Yeah, he does do a Steve Harrington journey within the one season that he's in, which is impressive work. I guess the other big
especially there's a scene where he's just doing something with Dustin, and they're just hugging, and then he goes to Dustin, looks at him, is like, never change, and I was like, I love you, Eddie.
Is there an almost romantic undertone to him and Dustin, do you think, or is it
I think it's really brotherly.
Very brotherly, yeah.
Like I also like kind of I watched an interview, and Joseph Quinn was kind of saying how he felt lucky that him Gaten Matarazzo, who plays Dustin, and Joe Keery, who plays Steve, he felt really lucky that he could have like a connection with these 3 people, and he just feels like he's like an older brother to Dustin, and there's a real connection, and that's what it was created, a real connection.
Yeah.
Like the last scene with Dustin and Eddie, it was like. No.
And then the scene at the very end where Dustin's talking to Eddie's is it his uncle? That was
his uncle,
upsetting.
Very upsetting.
Devastating. There's a lot of upsetting moments in this. The other big new character, spoiler, as it's one character and not 2 characters, as you're led to believe throughout most of it, is number 1, or Vecna.
Number 1.
Yes. They, for the first time, they give the Upside Down a intelligent sort of presence in Vecna, who is this monstrous person who lives inside the Upside Down and is the person committing these killings in Hawkins, and we discover throughout the season that it is actually number 1, the original experimented on child from Hawkins' lab. What did you think of that revelation?
But it was so unbelievable when it got revealed.
What do you mean?
I did not expect it at all.
Oh, unbelievable in terms of you weren't expecting it, not in terms of it.
Yeah, like the nurse guy who seems like really genuinely lovely, then turns out to be like this awful human and monster after. Oh, it's just incredible. I thought that was a really good, clever twist.
There is a very cheesy moment where they don't trust the audience enough because they show that he's got the number 1 tattoo on his arm, and then it goes into the Upside Down and shows that Vecna's got the number 1 tattoo, and it's like, we get it, we know that like we got what you were doing there. Like, you don't need to show us a stupid little tattoo on a tentacle to to put the point across. Like, we get it. You showed him turning into Vecna. Like, we know, but he is horrifying, and like I think the scariest stuff they've ever done in this show is in those, particularly the end of the first episode where what's she called? I don't remember her name. The girl that dies in the first episode, Chrissy, I think. Is it Chrissy?
Chrissy.
Awful. The way that Vecna murders people in this show, with the snapping limbs and the eyes exploding and just basically everything awful that you could imagine. It's almost something out of Hellraiser or Nightmare on Elm Street, which is like specifically quoted as Robert Englund, who plays Freddy Krueger, appears as Victor Creel in that one episode where Nancy and Robin go to, because they're on the track to try and discover who Vecna is, what's happening, what these killings are, and they think it might have something to do with this guy Victor Creel, whose family died in similar circumstances in the 50s, and in a very Silence of the Lambs inspired sequence, they managed to get into this psychiatric unit and interview Victor Creel, and played by Robert Englund, with horrible eye makeup on to make it look like he's not got any
pussy.
eyes.
I was like, why? It's already enough that his eyes are like shut closed, but then you're gonna put some pus on it.
But very much, so like it's like the big inspirations in this season, I think, were like Nightmare on Elm Street and the Hellraiser movies for the look and vibe of Vecna and what he's doing. So like pretty huge new characters, like the first time they've ever given an actual intelligent voice to the villain in Stranger Things, which I thought ended up being a really good move because he's really menacing and awful. And then bringing in Eddie was a pretty inspired choice as well, because he turns out to be someone you can really kind of get behind throughout the season. I thought we could go through the different stories.
And then there's one more. There's another character, a new character as well.
Argyle.
Yeah.
I don't like Argyle, Alex.
No, but he's a new character.
I know. We can talk
spends
about
a lot
him,
of time with
I don't like him. I don't like that actor. I haven't liked that actor since you made me watch that movie where he cuts off his own penis.
I don't mind the actor. I think he's typecast a lot, and I think that's the worst thing. And I have a really, what's his name?
Argyle is the character. I don't remember the actor. Eduardo Franco.
Yeah. So I have a real soft spot for him because in the package in Booksmart, and he played pretty much the same character, and then here he pretty much plays the same character again. I was like, I have a really soft spot for him because I want him to like be someone else, that's why you're an actor.
Yeah, I don't really like that archetype of like, all right, my dudes, how we like. It's not my vibe.
Yeah, exactly. But he didn't write the script, so
no,
he just got typecast to do it. So I feel like because he's a young actor, and it'd just be nice if he, but maybe that's what he likes doing. I don't know. Maybe that's just what he's looking for.
He's good at doing it, but I don't like it.
Yeah. But he's a new character, so we have to. We're going to talk.
No, that's fair. I think my least favourite Argyle moment, if we're going to talk about the worst bits that Argyle does, is the too much on the nose joke about Hawaiian pizza, where he puts ham and pineapple on a pizza, and Eleven and Mike have an argument about whether I hate that. I really like that scene, actually. I hate the whole. It's become a real thing on the internet of arguing about whether pineapple belongs on pizza or not. Yeah, and I don't like policing people's food choices at all, and I just hate that whole thing. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I guess pineapple on pizza started at some point, and when I saw that scene, it kind of felt like, okay, so this argument has been going on for so long that it's so silly that it's kind of just become part of our being, pineapple on pizza. And I thought that was a really sweet moment in a way. I don't know. I like that scene just because it's such a it brings like, how long have we been talking about pineapple on pizza and we're still talking about it?
Stop talking about pineapple on pizza. I bought a Pizza Express Hawaiian pizza this week before I got COVID. I was stocking up on some food. And, do you know Pizza Express, big pizza brand in the UK, and they do pre-made, like it's a restaurant, but you can get pre-made pizzas in, they have one called Sloppy Giuseppe. Have you ever had a Sloppy Giuseppe?
Yeah, Sloppy Giuseppe.
Why is it called that? Is there a reason for that? Do you know? I don't know.
I have no idea because you I guess because you don't say Giuseppe, and something that smells that rhymes with sloppy.
What is Giuseppe? Giuseppe?
Giuseppe is the name.
Okay, I thought so.
But in England, you don't say Giuseppe, you say Giuseppe.
Right, yeah.
And so sloppy Giuseppe.
I get it.
I guess is that.
But they want to, like, Pizza Express want to appear authentically Italian a lot of the time, in a way that I'm sure they aren't. But, like, they'll have...
No, because the sloppy Giuseppe is, like, the worst kind of pizza.
It's nonsense. It's an American-style pizza, really, isn't it? Because it's ground beef and stuff. But, like, they have, like, a ham and mushroom pizza that's called... I can't remember. They have Italian names, anyway, on their pizzas and stuff.
Yeah.
They have a Hawaiian pizza that you can get now. And I got it because I like pineapple on pizza, and I don't like it when people tell me that I shouldn't like it. And even on their stupid Hawaiian pizza box, they've written a big thing that's on the top of it that says, "Shh, don't tell the Italians."
It's funny. Come on, stop being so
cliche.
Stop
it's
being
too boring. We need to stop. Just accept that it's
not
a thing.
Boring.
What annoys me about it is because I feel like when I was growing up, it was fine. It was just a thing. Hawaiian pizza was a thing. It was ham and pineapple. And then suddenly, at some point, someone decided to start arguing about it. It's not as if, like, to me, it's not an argument that's always been there. It was an accepted pizza. And then out of nowhere, people just suddenly started going, is that why? What happened? Like, what happened to it being normal? It used to be normal.
Yeah. Whoa, not in Italy.
No, I know not in Italy, but in the UK and presumably in America.
I guess like Italianized, Europeanized English people get offense with pineapple on pizza. It is not a real pizza.
No, that's fine. It doesn't need to be a real pizza. I don't need a real pizza. If I want a real pizza, I'll come and see you in Italy, which I'm going to do. And, like, I'm not going to go into a pizzeria with you in Bologna and say, just chuck a bit of pineapple on it, please.
If you say that, I will leave. Or you will be escorted.
But would I be allowed to ask for tuna on my pizza in Italy?
Yeah. There is a pizza with the tuna and onion and tuna pizza.
Oh yeah. What about tuna and sweet corn?
Ugh, no.
So why don't we argue about that? Why aren't there all these memes about, like, tuna and sweet corn on a pizza? That's because that's a normal pizza in the UK.
Yeah, or. I can't think about anything worse to put on my pizza. But I'm very, I like my pizza simple. I like my nothing on my pizza.
Sometimes I like that. Sometimes I like more things. Sometimes I go to Domino's and order a cheeseburger pizza, which is the maddest pizza that exists in the world.
Oh my God.
It's got, like, ground beef and pickles and mustard. It's weird.
I guess like when I go to Domino's, I do like to be more adventurous.
I'm just like, give me the weirdest thing you can
It doesn't
think
feel
of.
like a pizza. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a pizza Domino's. It feels like an American pizza.
Yeah.
So you can just put whatever you want.
Exactly. Give me the maddest shit that you possibly can on a dough thing. And if we don't call it pizza, that's fine. We don't need to call it pizza if we don't want to offend people.
Yeah.
Anyway, Argyle is a means to an end. He provides a van, and that's the extent. He doesn't get much to do. I do feel a bit sorry for him because he doesn't have a character. He just literally he's there to drive the plot.
Like, if he died, probably wouldn't have had the same effect as Eddie.
No, you'd be like, no one's ever going to know who invented the Hawaiian pizza now. That would be the extent of that.
Yeah, which is a shame because every character in Stranger Things we should care about in some way or another. We should really hate them, really love them, or really hate them, or be amazed by them. But he was just a bit...
Yeah. And
I was quite happy to see him. I like him.
Yeah, sure. I don't. When he popped up in the first episode, I was like, this guy, really? Are we doing this? Is this guy? Why?
Are we going through this? Are you going to cut your penis off here?
That was a Netflix movie. Is he just one of these actors at Netflix having their barn and they're like, come out you come on, we've got a bit of, come on.
Oh, I feel sorry for him. Let's be nice. I hope he can do better.
I mean, he just starred in the biggest TV show in the world. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's doing fine.
Yeah.
If he's not doing fine, I hope he is doing fine, because I can dislike a performance without wishing harm on the person that did it.
Yeah.
I'm not a Reddit user. Anyway,
Yeah.
So
where are we?
Let's have a little discussion. So I sort of, the season splits itself. Rather than talking about episode by episode, it makes more sense to go through like plot lines, because it's split along those lines. So where do you want to start? We can talk about Joyce, Hopper and Murray. We can talk about Mike, Will and Jonathan. We can talk about Eleven and her very sort of isolated plot, and Vecna within that. We can talk about the goings on in Hawkins. Where do you want to begin?
What we can go...
Okay. Joyce and Hopper. So the season opens with Joyce, depressed, sad, living in California, seemingly having to support an extra child, which is very kind of her, really.
It is very kind, because, she's not very well off.
No, she's got a horrible... She's got the kind of job where if I had that job, I would... Well, I won't say it on her because it's a horrible thing to say, but I wouldn't have that job. I would take...
Have you never worked in telesales?
No.
Oh, I did.
I couldn't bet I wouldn't.
It was awful.
I wouldn't be able to live.
I lasted 3 months.
I'm surprised you made it.
I was like, no.
Because
it's one of those jobs that you get in uni and, it's like good money, but
you're bothering people. You're forcing yourself into somebody's home and bothering them. It's like, it's a horrible thing.
But if you need a job, though,
I get it.
telesales always has...
No judgment on the people that do it, but judgment on the companies.
But I admire people that can do it for long, because I was just like, oh, you don't want to? Okay.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if you get a sale, you've probably looked into ringing an old person who doesn't have the critical faculties to realise that you're a telemarketer. Anyway, she's doing that, which is not great for her. She gets a package in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
It's a doll.
Yeah.
With a Russian postage stamp on it. So who does she call?
She calls Murray!
I'm so glad that we get much more Murray in this season. I love Murray. And Brett Gelman, who plays Murray, is a gem.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to like him when I saw him in season 3.
Season 2 even,
so much.
He popped up.
Season 2, yeah. No, season 3, he's more there. In season 2, it's like, but I couldn't imagine life without him now.
Delightful. And do you remember he was in Love? You watched some Love, didn't you? He played Gillian Jacobs' co-worker or boss or something in that. I like Brett Gelman.
He was also in Fleabag.
Yes, he was in Fleabag. Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very hateable character.
Sure.
Hated him in Fleabag.
But Brett Gelman is great, and as Murray, iconic, I think, role. So Murray helps Joyce to work out whether or not it's a bomb. It's not a bomb. Good. But it does have a message inside.
Good.
The message being Hopper's alive.
Yeah.
Hopper lives.
Hopper's alive.
And so we enter the most improbable in and amongst actual supernatural goings on, the ability for a woman in her 40s in 80s America to find a way to fly to Russia seems like the most improbable idea in the story.
Well, she does get help from the guard. The guard tells her where to go.
She does, yes. And she also manages for someone who seems like they're working quite desperately to keep ends together, she does very easily acquire, what is it, $40,000 or something, some insane amount of money?
Yeah, but that was Hopper's money.
Oh, was it? Well, maybe I missed that. I thought it was her money.
Yeah, it was Hopper's money. Because Hopper tells the guard that he has this $40,000 in his bank account. I think it's...
Oh, fair enough. I must have not been paying attention.
Yeah. No, it's Hopper's money.
So, there's a guard. The guard's very good, actually. Who plays the guard?
Yeah, I like the guard,
I like the guard as well. The guard is good. The guard is... This guy, Tom Walashiha, is a German actor.
Mm-hmm.
And he played Jaqen Hagar in the 2nd, 5th and 6th seasons of Game of Thrones. He's very, very good in Game of Thrones. I knew I liked him from something. So yeah, he's great. He's really fun in this season. So basically, he is a corrupt guard at the prison, or the gulag, in which Hopper is being kept, and he has agreed to help Hopper get home in exchange for $40,000, which Hopper enlists Joyce, and Joyce enlists Murray to help, and they end up being horribly betrayed by Yori.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is awful.
Yeah, and very annoying.
Deeply, deeply annoying.
Yeah.
What did you think of this plotline overall? Joyce making her way to Russia.
It was interesting. A bit kind of unbelievable, but also believable if, let's say, there's that kind of exchange between Yuri, who takes illegal stuff to Russia.
Yeah.
And they want to make easy money, so I guess it is kind of believable, but also a little bit crazy, because also when they crash the plane, like I was like, how are they alive? But it's
Russia's
fun, isn't
big.
it? It's just
They crashed that plane very close to that Russian gulag, because we're talking about a large country, the largest in fact.
But he was going in that direction because he was taking them anyway to that direction. So
yes,
yeah. So let's say that they were nearly there.
Sure.
And so, but I in a way I like the fact that it was a little bit exaggerated and exciting, because it was exciting.
Yeah, I think it helps that,
because we don't have to be too serious with this, because it's not reality. It's
True.
like science fiction.
Yeah.
So.
It helps that the main.
The thing is that every time I think about like Stranger Things and think when I watch stuff that is set in the 80s or before, it's the fact that there was no phones.
Nope.
So you had to just rely on hopefully the person being there.
Yeah, if they weren't there, you're like, I guess they're dead.
Yeah.
I guess they died. I'll have to go home. Come back again another time.
So crazy stuff. But I liked it. Also, I liked the pairing, Murray, Joyce. I think they worked.
I mean, Brett
really
Gelman
well
is
together.
great, and then you've got Winona Ryder, who's literally one of the most wonderful people alive in the world. And together, I think if you didn't have so much built up love and appreciation for those two actors, particularly Winona Ryder, it wouldn't work as well as it does.
Yeah.
But I will watch Winona Ryder do just about anything.
Yeah.
Because she's great, and apparently she was like the on-set 80s, like if they ever had a question about whether something was accurate to the 80s or when it came out in the 80s and if it would exist, like Winona Ryder had the answer supposedly. Like she's an encyclopedia of 80s knowledge, which is great because she's also integral to the decade in pop culture as well.
Yeah, she's like the face of the 80s, you know.
Beetlejuice and Heathers, and she's wonderful. I love Winona Ryder. Then they get there, and we've got Hopper. I thought the first couple of episodes where he's just sort of being tortured by Russians.
I hate it. I was like, don't touch Hopper.
Well, don't do that. And like,
it was too much.
And it's such a thing now it's become too much of a thing in genre stuff for somebody to like break their thumb or break their leg, or like he breaks his foot to get out those, but then he's running around fighting people. Like, no, he needs a crutch and a wheelchair for the rest of that season after he does that to his leg to get out those shackles. But once he sort of makes his big escape attempt, it doesn't pan out and he gets captured. And I think the scenes where he's with those people preparing for fighting the Demogorgon, and then they fight the Demogorgon, and you see, like, it's not since season 1 that you've really seen and been reminded how terrifying that creature is. And like when you saw it in Hawkins, it was always in the dark, and like seeing it in a snowy environment really wreck shop and just kill people is reminds you what a great monster it is. I think those scenes are great in this season, and like, for all of the slogging through the various things you have to do to get to that moment where he's down there about to face off against the Demogorgon and Joyce is up on the balcony watching. And you can sense how kind of she's so close but so far away. It really works. I think I love that. Those moments. And then it all does get quite silly when, like, did you think that she was going to rescue him and they were going to go back to Hawkins and help, or did you kind of foresee the way it ends up being that they help from Russia by fighting it there?
I thought they were going to go back to Hawkins. I never thought that they would go back, but I thought that was a good twist that they go, okay, well, we have something here.
Yeah.
And they talked about the hive mind, and I thought it was really interesting that they were all, although they were all in separate places, they were all connected.
Yeah.
So I quite like that, because I think it would have been pretty crazy that they had to fly back and then help.
Yeah.
They would have been pretty tired.
Yeah, they would have been tired. They would have been a sleepy hopper.
They would have been very tired. But
it is repeating.
And I think also they needed time to get back because they didn't have a plane, they didn't have a transport. And
it does feel a bit like it's repeating the season 2 thing of like, you just want Hopper and 11 to reunite. Like, you want to see that reunion. Like in season 2, you wanted 11 and Mike to reunite, and it makes you wait until the very end of the season.
I didn't feel that way.
Oh, really?
Actually.
I was desperate
because 11 wasn't. Oh no, because 11 wasn't by herself. Well, she was kind of by herself, but not as alone as in season 2.
Yeah.
And what he was doing was necessary to help 11 from a distance. So it wasn't like he abandoned 11 in the little house. He thought he was away, so I didn't really feel that way.
It's just, you can really
I kind of felt like at the end when they all reunited, I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
Early on in the season, you can really tell how traumatic it is for 11 to have lost her father, and you really want to see them reunited, or at least I did. And I just didn't think they were going to make you wait until the end of the season, but they do, and it does pay off well. Like, obviously that scene where when she's like, I left the door open, you're like, oh. Right. Anything else to say about the Russia adventures?
Well, Hopper and Joyce finally kiss.
Yes, lovely.
Yeah, and that was a lovely moment.
It is a lovely moment.
I like that.
I really hope that
that's what I was waiting for a long time.
Yeah,
because Hopper in season 3, he was crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. Like, he just went mental because he really wanted Joyce to like him, and he bought like a Hawaiian shirt. He was going to like a fancy restaurant.
There's nothing crazy about that Hawaiian shirt. That is a very good choice.
But yeah, they finally kissed, which was really lovely. Yeah, I think that's it. It was a fun, entertaining bit, that the Russian bit, I think.
Yeah, and I like seeing him. You know, when he's flaming the Demogorgon and stuff at the end, like, the action's all fun.
Yeah.
Shall we talk?
Yeah, I think I could have done with a little bit less torture.
Fair enough. I know you don't like that kind of thing, so that's fair.
No, but
that's what they do. The Russians, they're awful, Alex. No one else would. Americans wouldn't do anything like that.
Oh no, Americans would have given you a lovely cup of tea.
They would never torture people like that.
I know, man. Oh no.
And neither would the British. Actually,
never.
The British are very honourable.
Oh no, the British are the best. The British just go, oh, would you like a scone?
Yeah, they don't. They would never ever do anything of that nature.
By the way, we're being very sarcastic, I think. Let's not, because you never know.
Anyway.
Anywho,
let's talk about the worst storyline of the season, the weakest part, in my opinion. You can tell me what you think. The Mike, Will, Jonathan, and Argyle road trip.
Yeah.
Every time we come back to those 4 goons in that van, I was like, come on.
Well, it started really well, that storyline. It ended really well.
Let's talk. So we talk first episode stuff with 11 still there and Mike coming to visit, and like how that all plays out.
So it starts well, I think. Yeah,
they're at school. Like, Will and 11 are bonding, living together as sister and brother, effectively. There's a very upsetting bully. There's a very horrible scene where they've had to like make a little presentation about their hero, and 11 has chosen to do Hopper because obviously he's the greatest hero the world's ever seen. Like, if a real man lived that had done the things Hopper's done, then he'd be an actual real life superhero. And there's this horrible girl that does the classic, like, I just wanted to check, like, this doesn't seem like it was what we were meant to be doing. Like, I thought it was meant to be a famous person.
What a cowbag.
Yeah, she's awful. And then obviously 11 is kind of like just not handling school at all well. She's not handling life well. She's getting bullied. But she doesn't want Mike to think that there's anything wrong. So she's lied to him in all her letters and told him that it's wonderful and she's got loads of friends. Because I guess she's never really faced these kinds of challenges before and doesn't want Mike to, you know, worry about her.
Thinks that or thinks that she's a loser.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's pretty clear that Mike's like a little puppy dog. Like, he's never going to think his owner is bad. He's always going to be yapping around her heels. What's wrong?
I guess.
He is.
I don't know.
He's like a little. He's like a little puppy with 11. So he comes to visit. There's a whole thing where why isn't Nancy coming to visit Jonathan? Oh, could there be trouble in paradise, perhaps? And they go to a roller rink, and there's a horrible, like the most unpleasant bullying I've seen in a while, where they all surround 11, and that girl throws a milkshake at her. Yeah. And thank the Lord, 11 smacks her in the face with a roller skate.
With a roller skate.
Great. Well done, 11. Oh, there's that very embarrassing moment where she's being bullied in the school and she tries to do her psychic powers and it doesn't work. Yeah. The girl's just like, what are you doing?
Thank God, because she would have blown that girl's head off.
She would have done. But she can't do her powers. So, how do they get split? Because, like, Joyce goes off to...
So basically, that happens. Joyce goes, I'm going to Alaska, and she abandons the children.
Yeah. But, I mean, Jonathan is an adult, to be fair. A stoner, but an adult.
And 11 gets arrested.
Yes, for the rollerblade in the face.
She opened, like, she's like smacks a girl.
Yeah.
With a rollerblade, so she gets arrested, which I thought it was a bit much, but I'm not sure, because she's a minor, so I'm not sure why she got arrested, but she got arrested, and then she gets kidnapped, but not kidnapped. She gets gotten from the doctor, the nice doctor, which I can't remember
Reiser
the name.
Is the actor. He's a lovely doctor, man. Yes, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But then, meanwhile, back in the lovely palatial home in California, Jonathan, Will, and Mike suddenly have to endure protection from a couple of government agents that have been sent by the lovely doctor as well.
Yeah, because the doctor convinces 11 to try and get her powers back. And they have to be protected by the military or something?
No, the military want to kill 11 because they think that it's her fault that these things are happening in Hawkins. It's more the Hawkins lab, whatever kind of weird X-Files-esque arm of the US government is involved with Paul Reiser character. He has sent two sort of men in black almost to protect Mike and Jonathan. And then in what is one of the highlights of the season, you know, this storyline didn't do a lot for me, but this one particular scene did, when the house gets attacked by the military. And there's this one shot, quite long sequence of them running through the house being attacked and these two agents trying to save them. And eventually
so good.
Escaping in Argyle's pizza van.
Yeah. That was such a good scene. And it was all one shot, so they had to do it like loads of times.
It's great. Like, it's really visceral and like it's one of the best action scenes they've done in that show, particularly that doesn't involve 11. It's really, really good.
That was so good.
And those two agents that you don't really see again, they do really well. You really kind of care about them in that moment. But then we just get like 3 or 4 episodes in a row of the 4 of them in this van just sort of flailing around trying to work out where 11 is, and it is boring.
Yeah, so they go to Dustin's house.
Dustin's
girlfriend's house.
That scene, get it out of my Stranger Things.
Yeah, it was quite funny, but also not great. But I guess it was just kind of like them trying to find out, so kind of like still an adventure.
But I just don't know what they want that character to be. Like, they make her sing the Never-Ending Story song in Volume 3 with Dustin, and that's weird. And then they bring her back in this season for that one scene in the house, and it's like something out of Hook, but not in a good way.
Yeah.
Weird stuff. I don't quite know what they're trying to do with that character. And will we see her again in season 5? I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe.
But then they get the coordinates from her for where 11 potentially is, and then it is just literally like watching them drive around while Mike and Will have weird conversations about how much 11 loves Mike, and then Will bites his fist because Will loves Mike as well, but can't.
But does Will love Mike in that sense? Is it 100% true?
Like, to the point that Noah Schnapp has come out and said that's what it is. It's clear. Noah Schnapp has said Will is gay and he's in love with Mike.
That disappoints me a little bit.
Why?
Because, like, not because of Will being gay, just because I can't see why Will would be in love with Mike. Like, I can see, like, them. I thought that he was sad because he doesn't really know how to feel, and he can't tell his friend.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was, if that was the case, I would prefer it rather than him being in love with Mike, because there's actually no reason why he should be in love with Mike.
Well,
but
love doesn't necessarily have reasons, does it? I don't necessarily think that's a.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't know.
I wondered for a while whether they were going to have Will be sort of asexual and not really, which I would have. That's a sort of representation that doesn't really happen ever. In stuff.
Which would be nice. It would be good as well.
But no, apparently not. Apparently Mike very much is in love with, or Will.
Oh, okay.
According to Noah Schnapp, anyway, and I guess that's how he played it.
Okay, I saw it as him being sad because maybe can't.
But I think that doesn't preclude the other there.
Yeah. Yeah. But then this sequence ends with like when they're in the pizza shop, and I thought that was really lovely when they're in the pizza shop and Mike tells all these amazing things to 11, which are really lovely and heartfelt, and I thought that ended really beautifully. I really liked that scene.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about 11 then. So 11 gets taken off by Paul Reiser to another secret lab to try and get her powers back because he knows that bad things are happening in Hawkins and only she can help.
And who turns up? Surprise, surprise, he's not dead.
Not dead. Martin Brenner, Papa.
Papa is alive.
He's alive and just as entitled and awful as he ever was.
I prefer him this time.
He injects her with that big needle and thing. Like, he's awful.
Yeah, but she gets her powers back, and they're kind of like,
No, I mean, personally, I think you're meant to dislike him. The way that, like, she very pointedly doesn't forgive him at the end of that storyline. She walks away from him because there's no forgiveness for what he's done. To number 1 as well as to 11 and to all of them.
Yeah.
But he comes back and he, in his very kind of like extreme methods way, attempts to get 11 to get her powers back by making her endure these sessions in a sensory deprivation tank while she relives the memories of what happened in the original Hawkins lab to lead up to the escape that you see at the start of the first season. And what did you think of these sort of flashback sequences in Hawkins' lab?
I thought they were fun.
Yeah, I thought they were fun. I liked them.
I liked the fact that it wasn't just 11, and it was kind of like a program for many kids.
Yeah.
And we realized why there is only 11 by season 1. There's only 11
and 8
in the and.
They have that one line and they're like, "Hey, do you remember when 8 was here?"
Yeah.
So she's gone now.
So I like them, and I like the fact that they introduced a character that wasn't there before, that then it becomes a huge character.
Yes, Jamie Campbell Bower's number one.
Yeah.
Who you think is
which
just a janitor.
I can't stop watching interviews with Joseph Quinn and Jamie Campbell Bauer. How is
Jamie
what's his
Campbell
name?
Bower?
Jamie Campbell Bower. It's just so much fun. They're amazing together. And yeah.
He plays Vecna, doesn't he? Is he actually in the costume as Vecna? It's such a different
he's actually in the
performance.
costume.
But
Yeah.
he's great. He's brilliant.
And because it's actual like all prosthetics, and there's this meme on the internet with him like in prosthetics, just drinking this iced coffee.
That's quite good. I see. Well, because like he's quite a slender guy, so you can tell it's all prosthetics in a way. Because Vecna looks massive, so it must just be pounds and pounds and pounds of prosthetic over his body that they've done together.
Apparently it took ages to put on.
Yeah, it must have done, but it's good. Like he looks, it's a great,
amazing,
great character. And he's good in these scenes as, you know, his original sort of thing, and when he slowly reveals that he is sort of the force of evil in this place to 11. I think the only thing that doesn't quite work is the de-aged Millie Bobby Brown looks like
I hated that.
a doll.
I hated that.
Yeah,
I really didn't like that. I know they were trying really hard to do it properly, and
it just isn't.
It just didn't work. It just didn't work.
And I guess I don't know what the solution would be otherwise, because you know what she.
Well, they found one solution, that she looks big, because she's big now, and so until she looks at herself in the mirror, she's, you know, Millie Bobby Brown, and then when she looks in the mirror, she's this weird child person.
Yeah, but I guess there's a distinction between there are scenes where it's specifically her having the flashback and you're kind of seeing it from her perspective, but then there's sequences like when her and number one are in the kind of ventilation room or the laundry room kind of discussing their escape plan. It's framed less as a flashback experience from her point of view and more as just a scene that you're watching play out.
Yeah.
And in that one, I guess it makes more sense for it to look like a young 11 to remind you that it is young 11. But I think they needed to have a young 11, but whether they cast somebody else, but then you know what she looked like when she was that age, because that's her in the first season.
Yeah.
And then with a Netflix budget, ultimately, and it was also like they were supposedly finishing the effects right up until the end, so like they probably didn't have any time to work on a more convincing, because like in the Marvel films they've done fairly convincing de-aging of actors that hasn't been quite, like Samuel L. Jackson in Captain Marvel, for example, is less distracting, but this just didn't quite work.
This was really distracting. It was just like, it just looks like a little computer thing. But they did the best they could, I guess, and, you know, thank God it's a good series, and that's just, like, you know, something that you have to put up with sometimes.
Yep. The scene where she pushes him into the Upside Down and he gets turned into Vecna is great. And then it transfers into season 1 where she escapes. In the real world, Paul Reiser stands up to Martin Brenner and he dies, doesn't he? Does he die?
We don't know. We don't know if he dies. He might do.
I hope he didn't die. But he ends up getting caught by the military.
Yeah.
And
and by this point, 11 gets her powers back by remembering everything. Yes.
And is able to have nosebleeds.
And she gets reunited with Will, Mike, Jonathan, and Argyle.
Yeah, who arrived just in the nick of time to save her from a military ambush, a military sniper who shoots Dr. Martin Brenner over and over again. He surely now has to be dead. And quite sad, sad in his final moments. He's trying to connect with 11, and she kind of is now able to really just be like, no forgiveness for you. And she walks away from him. Which I like that moment. And then they go off to the pizza shop and fill a fridge full of salt water to help her try and rescue Max.
To help Max.
Yes. Which takes us into the kind of main thrust of the season where most of the action takes place. Hawkins. Where we are left with Steve, Dustin, Lucas, Nancy, Eddie, Robin, and Max.
And Erica. Stop forgetting about Erica.
I think Stranger Things forgot about Erica, Alex.
Why?
She's not in it. She's barely in it.
She really helps.
Not. Yeah, but like for the most, like she's in it at the start, and then she comes back at the end, and then in the middle sort of chunk of the season, she's not there.
Well, she helps with the lights, and she helps with.
Yeah, she definitely helps, but she doesn't. She's pretty like she's not along for the ride most of the time.
Well, she's necessary when they have to find the house.
Yeah, but she shouldn't just be there when she's necessary for help. Like she's not really a core member of the group in a lot of the season.
I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, she is there, and she's I found her quite annoying in season 3. I think she's better here. I think they improved her.
Yeah, she's definitely better. Yeah.
But I was a big fan of everything that happened in Hawkins in this season. Like.
Yeah, it was really fun. Hawkins was the best kind of.
Yeah,
bit.
Definitely. Like we get to see
the real.
We get to see the characters at high school. They've joined the Hellfire Club to play Dungeons and Dragons, which is how they've met Eddie. Yeah. There's a whole thing in the first episode where Lucas can't play because he's got a big basketball game coming up because he's joined.
He's a basketball player. What? He's part of the cool kids.
He's part of the cool kids, but he still wants to be part of the. And there's that thing that does happen in high school where you start to find different friendship groups, and can you keep your old friendship groups together and stuff like that, and it's all very real teen drama until it becomes about much more than that. And we also get to see how sort of much Max is struggling to come to terms with the death of Billy.
Yeah.
And I had a real moment in the first episode where they introduced Max, and she's got headphones on, and you can hear that she's listening to Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. And I was like, I love this song. Oh, cool, they've put this song in it. And then obviously, as you go through the episodes, it becomes more and more apparent how integral, like Kate Bush is like the other member of the gang almost in this season.
Yeah, definitely.
Which was pretty... I got pretty moved by that, because I've always... Like, that was the first Kate Bush song I ever heard, and I remember hearing it and being like, what is this noise? This is amazing. And, like, to have that suddenly turn up in this and be so important in something that I also really enjoy was like, pretty incredible. We'll talk about that when we get to it in a minute. But, yeah, like, I think Sadie Sink, who plays Max, does amazing work in this season, like, dealing with that trauma that she has...
Yeah.
Kind of living with as a result of feeling like she got her brother killed a little bit in the last season.
Yeah.
Or maybe not that she got him killed, but just that like she had to fight him effectively, and he ended up making that sacrifice and sacrificing himself to save. And he was a horrible character, and there would be that guilt where if there's somebody who you've wished would die and then they die, how do you live with that? That would be, for a young girl to kind of have to come to terms with that is devastating. And I think Sadie Sink does amazing work in this season. She's not connecting with anyone. Lucas really wants her to support him in his basketball games because he's got the emotional range of an egg, but she's incapable of doing that because of everything that's going on. Like
every boy in high school.
Yeah, that's very true. But it is very funny that like he doesn't really seem to get that she's like destroyed by what she's gone through. He just wants her to like cheer him on in his basketball.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but that's the thing. Like I think that's how the part in Hawkins is really effective. Like talking to people, because he doesn't know, but he can't assume how she feels. Like she needs to talk to him, which she can't. And I think that's really important. I think people get from this is just like you need to talk about things, however embarrassing or how hurtful they are, because people want to help you, and he can't. And also he's like a teenager. He can't know how you are. But
we also rejoin two absolute legends, Steve and Robin, working in the video shop. Both of them sort of struggling to know what to do next in their life. Robin obviously, having come out to Steve in season 3, is much more open with who she is, and is pining after a girl in the band that she's in the school marching band. which is very sweet, and I like that it just sort of runs in the background of the season, but does end up having a nice resolution at the end, I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
And Steve, I feel so sorry for Steve in this season.
Oh yeah, he's just, I don't know, he's grown up and he's trying to find love.
But he's found love. He knows what his love is, and it's
Yeah,
denied to him. Not denied. It's not his right to have it, but.
And it's so weird that in season 1 you go, Nancy, leave him, and in season 4 he's like, can you get back together,
you're not happy
please?
with Jonathan. Please.
No, clearly.
Come on, you love Steve. Yeah. And he has more hero moments in this season, and just like Joe Keery must just realise that how lucky he is to have like not fallen into, but like Steve Harrington, you wouldn't have imagined in the first season would be such a great character, but like throughout each season since, they've given him more and more amazing moments, and like there's scenes in this season where he really gets to like, save the day and have a big moment.
Yeah,
and it's just great. He's so good at doing it. I love Steve Harrington.
Yeah.
And I love Nancy Wheeler as well, actually. Like the Ellen Ripley, the Sigourney Weavering of Nancy in this season is wonderful.
She's so good.
When she raises that shotgun at the end of the season, I was like, you're pretty good.
It was so good. I think that was like I didn't breathe for a few minutes at that point.
She takes charge, and it is like, again, it's the influences of culture from that era, like Sigourney Weaver being an absolute murderer in films like Aliens. And then, like Nancy Wheeler, kind of taking on that mantle, and like Linda Hamilton playing Sarah Connor in the Terminator movies and stuff. Like, women being badass action stars is something that needs to be more in culture. Like Joey King in The Princess on Disney Plus, for example. Like Nancy having that opportunity to do that is great, and I love it. And it's wonderful. Yeah. Dustin is good in this season. I don't know that he does very much, but he's good. What's his story in this season? That he bonds with Eddie. That him and Eddie are good brothers.
Yeah. Him and Eddie are good, and it's just It's part of the group. It's part of the team. It's a good group together. They work well together.
Absolutely. Right. Can we talk about episode 4?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So they realise that Vecna kills Chrissy in the first episode, and then kills an anonymous boy that we don't care about in like the second or third episode.
Well, he's kind of like the editor of Nancy's school newspaper.
A boy. And Vecna is murdering people by pulling them into the Upside Down, making them see visions, attacking them in the Upside Down, and then it manifests in the real world by them rising up in the air, and then all of their limbs snapping and their eyes exploding. Pretty horrendous stuff. We don't like it.
Yeah.
Very early on in the season, Max realises that this is happening to her. Like the early warning signs of Vecna targeting you have happened to Max. They work out that Vecna's targeting people who have kind of trauma in their lives, and obviously pretty significant trauma that Max has endured, so she's a target. Through Nancy and Robin's investigations, they realised that music seemed to be the thing that saved Victor Creel from his son way back in the day, although they didn't know it was his son that was doing it, but that was what allowed him to kind of be rescued, and they realised that music may have an impact on it. So they go to... Why do they go to Billy's grave to do this? I don't remember.
She wants to give him a letter. So she writes all these letters to all her loved ones, and then she's writing a letter, and she wants to give this letter to Billy, and she reads it on the grave. That's why they go there.
And she is like, no, it's one of those classic Stranger Things things where all these events that are happening in different areas kind of coalesce at the same time. Where Robin and Nancy realise that music is the key, just as Vecna makes his move and attacks Max.
Yeah, in that scene that looks a bit like Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. So they
which is amazing. I was like,
it is a great bit where they're going through and they're tricking that guy into letting them see Victor and stuff, and then they ring or they go on the walkie-talkie or whatever it is they have to do in the 80s to get the message through to Dustin and the rest that it's music, and they have to try and work out what music, because Max starts goes into a trance, and they can tell that she's being attacked. And then there's scenes in the Upside Down where Max is escaping from Vecna, and he's in this. They're in like a version of the snowball from the end of season 2, which is obviously a really important memory for.
That's the end.
No, it happens early on as well, doesn't it?
The snowball.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
No. The snowball doesn't the snowball happen in the end when she has to find her safe place, a happy place?
Yeah.
Because in that moment she still doesn't know how to defeat how to run away from Vecna. So the snowball is right at the end, isn't it?
I thought she's also in there when he attacks her originally, but I might be wrong. I can't remember. It's been a few weeks since I've watched it. But I thought that she was like piling up chairs to try and escape from stuff, and then he broke in and took her to the house.
Maybe I don't remember that, but maybe because
they're definitely in another environment, and then he takes her to the to the gross place that's his like base of operations.
Yeah, because is it not that she is safe in that place, and yeah, I don't know, because I thought that was in the last episode that she finds a safe place to go to.
Yeah, she definitely does,
and that's when she piles up those chairs to not let him in.
Yeah,
and then he takes her to her house in the last episode.
He takes her to the house in that episode as well, though, in episode 4.
Yeah, but I think she's already in there, no?
I thought she was somewhere else first, but I could be wrong. God, these episodes are so long. She's just sort of in a yeah, okay. She's like in an upside down version of the graveyard, and then
because she's just reading the letter, and she finds Billy. And
Billy turns into Vecna.
Yeah, and then she just thinks about all the happy things, and there's Halloween and everything, and then
and then they in the real world, Dustin and Lucas and Steve are desperately trying to work out what song to play her to try and help her to escape. Meanwhile, Vecna's tied her up on a column of tentacles and is kind of attacking her and being horrible to her. And then they work out it's running up that hill. They get the Walkman, they put it on her head, and then she starts to rise up off the ground and float in the air. And it's a very like visually amazing shot of her kind of rising up in the air with these headphones on her head and stuff. And she starts to hear the music come through. And like, I really think that there's a lot in the power of music and stuff, and like when TV shows and films and stuff kind of think about the power of music and use it as like to, you know, it can really save people, and the emotion that people can get from music is really powerful. So that this, you know, the lyrics of that song, if I could, I'd make a deal with God and get him to switch our place and stuff, and you can tell that she's really connected with this song because it's what she wants to say to Billy. It all comes together, like it's so perfectly done, and the choice of song is so perfect, and then it tears a hole in the Upside Down through to the real world, and she's able to kind of rip herself out of these tentacles that she's got and is rushing towards the exit, and Vecna's throwing all sorts of stuff at her. It's great. I love this bit so much. It's one of my favourite moments of TV ever, I think. I found it really affecting. Did you like it?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And it's just like when it stops and she goes, it's okay, I'm still here. I was like, I don't know, that line just got me really. I was like, I'm still here. I was like, okay. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
And then, you know, they spend the rest of the season sort of learning everything they can about Vecna and how he works, and planning, you know, and helping Eddie, who the town has gone crazy thinking that Eddie is the one doing these crimes. So they kind of find Eddie and he joins the gang, and they kind of work together to try and come up with a plan to defeat Vecna, which involves going to an American style gun shop and loading up on all sorts of stuff.
And you can just buy any gun. Yeah.
Which is obviously bad. I don't like that. But Nancy.
No. But then there is the comment. It's like, I can't believe this is actually legal. So it's like good.
But yeah, like the ability for Nancy to then Rambo herself up for the finale is pretty great. But not in the real world, please, just in films.
Yeah. I really like the innovative way that they found their way to like speak with the upside down.
Oh, with the lights and
with
stuff.
The normal,
yeah. They discover that lights
I really
can
like that. Yeah.
pass through. And I really thought there's a moment where they work out how to get into the upside down through these gateways that Vecna's been creating, and they can climb in through Eddie's caravan. And they realise that the upside down is stuck in time. Yeah. I thought that they were going to do a Barb. I thought they were going to use this as a way to have... They could be like, oh, we can rescue Barb because she's still technically alive. I really thought Barb was going to... I thought we were going to get a Barb, but we don't. No Barb.
No, we didn't get Barb. But let's hope we get Eddie, though.
Well, hopefully. We'll see. Oh, Eddie.
Yeah.
Maybe Eddie and Barb. Maybe the next season will be all about time travel and we can go back and get those people that we need to save, like Barb.
Yeah.
Who will be like, what's going on? What is happening? I don't understand any of this.
Yeah.
But they ultimately end up finding the house that Vecna lives in, and again, it all comes together at the right time. Like you've got the Mike and Will and 11 and stuff in the pizzeria in the desert. She's in the sensory deprivation tank, entering the upside down to help. You've got Max and everyone in Hawkins assaulting it, and then you've got Hopper and Joyce attacking from where they are. And it all comes together into this big finale, which is 2.5 hours long of just like...
Which is like...
Yeah. What did you think of the finale?
I stopped breathing a few times. I didn't know how to sit. I didn't know. The finale was pretty cool, pretty emotional. Everything comes to... it has been a journey, I think. Like the entire season is so long. There's kind of been a journey, and which worked because I love this season, and the finale is where everything happens, and it's just amazing. And when they're in the upside down, and I love the moments with Lucas and Max. I thought they're really lovely. And in the meantime, Jason has gone crazy and he's trying to beat up everybody. Steve, Robin, Nancy, and Eddie and Dustin are all in the upside down. Dustin and Eddie have to be kind of they have to distract these kind of like bats. And it ends up in a scene that if it had been anywhere else, it would have been the weirdest scene ever, but it was one of the best scenes ever, that to distract these bats, he plays a Metallica song.
Master of Puppets.
Master of Puppets, which...
Alex,
let's
just hang on though, because that's based on when the season is set. That song would only have been out for about a week or so. So are we supposed to believe that Eddie learned how to play that complex song on guitar? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. No, shut up. Shut up. It was perfect.
It is perfect. It's great. It's such a good choice.
It was a good choice. I don't care if it took him a week to learn that. I don't care.
Yeah. It's a great song.
It's a great song, and it couldn't have been any other song. There's Dustin rocking, and you're there. You're like, yeah, obey your master, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it is. That's so good.
And Mike says something incredible to 11, which is really sweet and lovely. That she's always, even without her powers, she's a superhero. Max, unfortunately.
Oh, I hate it.
That scene is so emotional because, like, finally Mike tells 11 how he feels about her, and she gets stronger and stronger. But it's not. She's Vecna. In the meantime, manages to find Max. Max is.
It's horrible because you think that she's going to get rescued right up until the point where her arms start bending the wrong way, and it's like, oh God, no, not Max. Yeah. And then she's, what sort of state she's going to be in the next season is well, interesting to see.
Do you think she's going to come back?
She'll come back. She's not dead.
Yeah, but when 11 went in her mind, there was nothing there.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not going to have her just not come back. They're not going to drop her as a thing. She'll be an important... If I had to guess, I'd say that it will have left her with some fundamental connection to the Upside Down that will...
Like Will.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, after everything happens and Max gets possessed and Lucas is just in tears with Max in his arms, and I think 11 brings her back to life somehow.
Yeah.
And but she kind of died, so Vecna manages to like rip and destroy basically Hawkins. And
yes, there's
when they go back,
there's a big assault on Hawkins with the ground opening up, etc.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest time that Hawkins has really been actually affected by the goings on in the Upside Down. Which is interesting to see, and it'll supposedly because of that, the Duffer Brothers have been saying that the season 5 will actually have shorter episodes than this season because there'll be less setup to do because they'll be able to go straight into the action in a way because it's sort of it's not like other seasons.
That's what made me really sad. Because I love the fact that every season it ends up and everything is fine.
Not in this season.
Totally fine.
Everything is terrible.
In this season, it ends up that Will's feeling something that has not been good, so he's still got a connection with the Upside Down. Hawkins is destroyed. It ends up with just them looking at this mess.
But
and
Hopper and 11 are reunited, and together they can do anything.
Yeah. I guess. I hope in season 5, what I really want is them being all together all the time.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see that. They seem to really like doing these like team up, let's split up and go off and do different things. And they are quite good at finding unusual character combinations and like, what would it be like if these two hung out for a bit and stuff. And I like that, but also, I hope that Hopper and 11 get to have some time together in this season. That's coming.
Yeah.
So if you were going to rank the 4 seasons, where does this come for you? Season 4?
I think season 4... Because I kind of have had change of mind depending on what time of the day it is. Because I was thinking about last time and I put season 3 as number 1, which is kind of with 3 and 1 together. And then I thought how I felt when I thought about it a bit longer, how I felt when I watched season 1, which I think is so good. And so I felt, I don't know if I would go like now, season 1, 4 and 3 together, and season 2.
Interesting.
Just because season one is so good.
Yeah.
And season 4 is incredible. I love season 4. But there are those moments where there are some characters that have been introduced that are not really great. And so, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe season 1 is the best.
I don't know, because season 1's got... the thing that I don't like about season 1 that drags it down for me is I find Lucas unbearable in that first season.
Oh, yeah, he's really annoying.
Yeah, when he's trying to gatekeep 11 out of the gang and stuff. I find all that plot quite hard to watch and sit through on a rewatch.
Yeah.
Which...
I don't know, George. I don't want to say it. Because I really like season 4. I think season 4 is amazing. And it does find him connected more. And the power of music and the power of, also the message that you don't keep everything to yourself and try and communicate your feelings because it is important. And also try and find happiness in despair. Because when, like, one thing that Max does is trying to think about the amazing things that she did. And so she thinks about Halloween and the snowball and her first kiss with Lucas. And so is an amazing season. Oh, I don't know. You tell me. You're more sure of your decisions than me. I change my mind all the time.
For me, it's season 4 at the top by quite a long way. I thought this season was just as much as I loved all the other seasons. I thought this season was like everything I would want out of Stranger Things. I absolutely love it. I thought it was so. And after a 3-year wait, where I'd kind of my love for the show overall had waned slightly, I just just because it hadn't been around for a bit and I'd kind of forgotten how much I liked it, and rewatching all of the first 3 seasons before this one came out kind of reminded me how much I liked it. But even then, I wasn't prepared for how much I was going to enjoy season 4. I thought it was phenomenal. And then season 1, then season 3, then season 2.
I like your choices. You stick to those.
So yeah, that's season 4 of Stranger Things. But the Stranger Things chat isn't over, because in our next episode, the big 80th. Oh, look at that! It's 80s in like the 80s, and then we're going to be talking about Stranger Things. But this time we're going to be doing a top 5 again, and we're going to be doing our top 5 Vecna songs. What does that mean to you, Alex? What's a Vecna song?
Is a song that will that if you are in the hands of Vecna, and they will play, somebody will play, and you'll be able to find that portal and get away from Vecna.
Good, I agree. Sometimes we agree on a top 5, and then when we get together to record, it becomes clear that we didn't have the exact same idea as to what it is.
It doesn't happen that often.
No, I think the biggest one was when we did 90s bands. You self-imposed a rule where you would only include bands that you listened to during the 90s. Yeah.
Oh, did I?
So it was like a lot of Italian bands that I'd never heard and stuff.
Was that one of my first... one of our earliest episodes?
It was an early-ish episode, yeah. I mean, it wasn't a big problem,
when it was
but
a bit more...
we had very different ideas about what the list was going to be. So I was just wanting to make sure that we weren't going to come next time and you're going to be like, well, I've only done songs from the 80s because I thought that was what a Vecna song was our favourites.
No. I'm less strict now than I used to be. I'm more relaxed about this.
Good.
No, I think the one that it was the food on film.
Oh, yeah.
We had a bit of a I thought it was.
Yeah, I remember there being a lot of stress about that. I don't remember why.
No, me neither. There's something like, yeah. But yeah, if you haven't watched Stranger Things, sorry for the spoiling. If you have, tell us what you think.
More fool you for missing out on the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you have any recommendations from your culture catch-up for this week?
Yeah, watch Persuasion. It's good.
Okay.
It's fun. Dakota Johnson for 1 hour and 49 minutes. It's not a bad thing.
It's not at all.
How about you?
I would say that people should check out Blackbird on Apple TV Plus because it's phenomenally good. And check out the video game As Dusk Falls if you've got Game Pass because it's much, much better than the trailers made it look. So, yeah. Blackbird and As Dusk Falls and Persuasion from you. Lovely. Next time we'll be doing our top 5 Vecna songs, so I hope you enjoyed that. And please do get in touch with us. Let us know what your Vecna songs are, please. You can email us or you can message us on various social media platforms, and the email address and links to those are all found in the show notes for this and every episode, along with lists of what we've discussed in Culture Catch-Up and what we've watched in MyTube. So please do have a look at the show notes and get in touch with us. Let us know what you think. Give us your suggestions and rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and anywhere else you can. And tell your friends about us. Thank you so much.
One thing though, can we make a rule about the Vecna songs that is not going to be Kate Bush running up that hill?
Okay. Why?
Just because it could be definitely a Vecna song.
Yeah, it's for me.
Even for me.
And it was on my list.
So let's say that. So let's come. Okay. So I was going to say.
Okay.
Let's just go. That's a Vecna song anyway.
Yeah. It was on my list because it is such an important song to me just before Stranger Things existed. But then I thought of enough other songs that I was like, I'll take it off because we've talked about it. So it's not on my list
Yeah,
anymore,
so let's say
that's
that
fine. I can agree.
that's a Vecna song, and it would be for both of us. But other Vecna songs.
Like Hounds of Love or Cloud Busting. She's got loads of songs.
Yeah.
Well, it's just Kate Bush songs, right? We have agreed that.
Yeah,
Okay,
just Kate
good.
Bush songs. Top 5 Kate
that's
Bush
not what we're
songs. It's me, it's Kathy, come home. It's so cold.
The boy with a thorn in his side, what's it called? The boy with a child in his eye. Anyway.
Anywho.
Because there's a Smith song called... There's a Smith song, and it's called The Boy with a Thorn in His Side or something. And then there's a Kate Bush song called The Boy with a Child in His Eye. I get them confused. Anyway, never mind.
Anywho.
See you in the future. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.